Okay, so I'm back again with another trial explanation video. So this video, I'm doing the Addmaths trial. This is the Kelantan paper, and this is the trial for 2023. Okay, the last time I upload is like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so I took a break, right? So now I'm back again lah. So this is the Kelantan Addmaths 2023 Kertas 1. Okay, so let's just start. Okay. Oops, 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 oops. Okay, this is question number 1. Let's start. Okay, let's read the question first. Diagram 1 shows the graph y equals to 2x squared plus kx. So this is a curve, all right? They give us the x-intercept here, -5 and 0. And then it says, based on the graph, a table of y over x against x is obtained as shown in the table. So now the table is y over x against x. So definitely I have to draw a new one because I modify my axis, right? Because my y-axis now becomes y over x, and then my x-axis becomes x. So this is definitely a linear law chapter, right? Because the y-axis and x-axis already changed to it's from y against x, now it's y over x against x. So now this says calculate the values of k, p, and q. First of all, when we are doing linear law question, I always tell my students this. When they give you equation, your job is to change the equation to linear form. So let's do that. The equation now is y equals 2x squared plus kx. How can I change to linear form? Well, linear form means y equals mx plus c. And the way I teach is I always tell students the equation must follow the y-axis. The equation must be same with the y-axis. So what is the y-axis now? Y over x. So in order to change this to a linear form, in order to change this to a straight line, because now it's a curve, right? But in order to change this curve to a straight line, I need to make sure the y-axis is y over x. So what I will do is I will divide x, everyone divide x. So 2x squared also divide x, I'll get 2x here. Kx also divide x, I'll get k like this. All right, so far so good. Now I can write y equals mx plus c because this is already linear form, all right? And the y-axis, the big Y, represents the new y-axis, which is y over x, and then the big X represents the new x-axis, which is the small x, and then m is 2. So gradient of the straight line is 2, and then the c, which is y-intercept, is the k, right? So now, how do we calculate the values of k, p, and q? Well, k is the y-intercept, right? K is the y-intercept, but not y-intercept of the curve, is the y-intercept of the straight line, right? So you don't tell me, oh, 0 is the answer. No, 0 is the y-intercept of curve. I need the straight line. So what do? Is we use this table actually, right? Because this table is the table, this table will give me the point for the straight line, right? So the first point is p -6, right? Because we always butcher the x-axis first, baru the y-axis. So remember now, your x-axis is actually the small x, and then the y-axis is actually your y of x. So the point here is p -6, and another point here, another point which the line got passes through is -2q, right? And with these 2 points, you can substitute inside this equation, but be careful when you substitute, because the p you will substitute inside the big the big x, right? So the big X will be p, and then what about the big Y, which is -6, right? Because this whole thing is the big Y, this whole thing is the big X, right? A lot of students, when they substitute, they will write, for example, this is y over x, they will put -6 over p, something like that. It's wrong. You shouldn't write -6 over p here, because -6 is already the whole thing. It's already the whole y over x, all right? So make sure you know that. And then don't forget the gradient, you know it's 2, right? And then plus k, you don't know, right? It's okay, just write the k there, right? So now you can simplify this a bit. It becomes 2p plus k equals -6. And then now you repeat the same process, but this time you substitute with this, right? But let's see. Is there a better way to do this? Okay, Tupper, we substitute this first and see what happens, right? So what happens here is the big Y, which is y over x, the whole thing I will substitute with q. And then the gradient, which is 2, and then big X, which is also the small x, is -2, and then plus c, which is plus k lah, right? And then now we can simplify this a bit. It becomes q equals to 2 times -2, which is -4 plus k, right? So I'm stuck here also because there's 2 unknown. Here also got 2 unknown. So how can we continue from here? Okay, let's see. We have the gradient, right? So how can we solve this? Okay, we need another equation to help us, obviously. But what can we do here? Okay. In order to find k, because the problem here is we don't have the k, right, which is the y-intercept. If we have k, we can find our pq easily. So we can actually use our original equation to find the k, right? Because if you look at the original equation, this is the equation of curve, right? So let's write it down. Y equals to 2x squared plus kx, right? And we can actually find the k using the curve equation, because the curve got passes through 2 points, which is negative 5, 0 and 0, 0, right? But of course, when you want to find k from this curve equation, you have to substitute x and y, but you have to substitute any point that the curve got passes through. So in this case, I will substitute negative 5, 0, right? So x is negative 5, y is 0, so it becomes 0 equals to 2 bracket square plus k bracket. So you can actually find your k like this, right? So negative 5, right? And the reason why I can substitute like this is because this curve got passes through this point, right? That's why the equation you can substitute like this, right? Okay. What happens if you substitute 0, 0? Actually, you won't get the answer if you substitute 0, 0. Even though this 0, 0 got passes through, but imagine if you substitute 0, 0 here, what happens to the k? The k will disappear, right? So everything will become 0. Because if you substitute 0, you will end up with this 0 equals 0. And your k will disappear and you can't find your k anymore. So that's why I didn't choose that point, right? So it's better to choose this point. So now it becomes 0. This one you can just press calculator, you get 50, and then minus 5k. And then minus 5k, you can move it over here, become positive, and then equals to 50, and then k equals to 10. And since your k is 10, it means your y-intercept is 10, right? So now you can substitute the k10 inside here. So it'll be negative 6 equal to p plus 10, right? And then now you can find your p plus 10, move there, become minus 10, sorry. So it becomes negative 6 minus 10 is negative 16, and then p equals to negative 8. Same here, let's continue this one here. It will be q equals to, this line will like this. So it will be negative 4 plus k, which is 10, right? I do the working here already. So now it becomes 6, right? So they want you to calculate values of k, p, and q. So you just write down all of it. K is 10, p is negative 8, and then q is 6, right? So yeah, this is how you do it. Okay. All right, let's continue with, oops, what happened? Okay, let's continue. Ayo. All right, so let's continue with question number 2. Okay, let's read the question first. Diagram 2 shows the graph of function mx equals to modulus 5x minus 4. And then where x is in between p and 2. So if you look carefully here, the x is the x-axis lah, right? So this is the restriction for the x-axis. You must draw, it means the paling kiri punya point, the x coordinate must be p, which is this point lah. And if you look at the coordinate here, yeah, the x coordinate is p, right? And then the paling kanan punya point, all right, the x coordinate of this point must be 2. This is what it means by the restriction must be from xp until x2, right? This is what it means, right? So can we find p? Actually, we can, right? Actually, we can, because we have the equation for this line, right? Which is mx equals modulus 5x minus 4. So we can just substitute the p19 inside this equation, and then I'll automatically get my p. So soalan A, they says find the values of p and q. So yeah, let's do that. So remember, your y-axis now is mx. So actually, the p is the x coordinate. This is your y coordinate, right? But in this case, your y coordinate is, your y-axis is mx, right? It means your mx is 19. Right? And then your x is p. So what happens when you substitute? Let's write down the equation first. Mx equals to modulus 5x minus 4. And then the whole mx here is the 19, right? And then you substitute the x with p. So it becomes modulus 5p minus 4. In order to find p, you have to pindah the modulus. So when you pindah the modulus, there will be two answers. One positive, and then another one is negative. Negative 19 equals to 5p minus 4 like this, right? So it will split into two answers. So let's find the first answer. 19 plus 4, 23. So 23 over 5, right? So this will be my first p answer. Let's do one more time. For this side, p equals to minus 4 become plus 4. So you can press calculator. Negative 19 plus 4 is 23. Right? Negative 19. And then plus 4. It's negative 15. Negative 15 divided 5 is negative 3 lah. So now I have my 2P answers, right? So P, I already find it, but they still want me to find Q, right? So let's look at Q. This is Q, right? So if you look at Q, this is actually the what? The x-intercept. The x-intercept of this V-shaped thing, right? This function. So if you want to find the x-intercept of the function, it's very straightforward. You just substitute y equals 0, right? Because x-intercept means the y coordinate will be 0, right? So and then the x coordinate will just be Q lah, right? So how to do this? Let's write down the equation one more time. Mx equals to modulus 5x minus 4. This time your mx or your y coordinate is just 0. And then your x coordinate is just Q, right? So let's write Q, okay, and then minus 4. So now you can find your Q, but you have to pindah the modulus, just like just now lah. So when you pindah modulus, you have to write tambah tolak, okay? But kosong tak ada tambah tolak, alright? Zero, because when you move dollars, there's one positive answer, one negative answer. But 0, there's no positive, 0, negative, 0, because 0 is like neutral. Dia tak ada positive, negative. So you just write 0 only, right? So now you can get your Q, which is 4 or 5, right? So I think this is the answer. Okay, I think this is the answer. So now we can write dot, 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 P equals Q equals, right? But I think if you look at this, P, it must be negative 3, right? Because you get P 2 answers, right? But if you look at this must be negative because 0 is here and P is on the left side. So definitely it's not possible for the P to be positive, right? So I'll write the word rejected, right? We reject this answer because it's on the left side, right? And it's not possible for this value to be positive, right? So definitely the P is negative 3, and then the Q, there's only one answer, which is 4 or 5. So it's very straightforward. So this one I will erase. I'll write 4 or 5 here, right? So this is 4 or 5. Or you can write 0.8. Okay. So yeah, this is how I do it. This is how I will do A, right? Okay, let's look at B now. B says what? State the domain, which is X. Domain means X, right? When the range is greater than 4, range means the y-axis, right? But in this case, the y-axis is mx lah, right? So when the range ataupun the y-axis mx is greater than 4. So now I will just write it down. Mx punya range is greater than 4. What does it mean by greater than 4? It means I have to look at this curve. I mean this curve pula, this function, this V-shaped line, and I will have to look at mx and I have to find 4 first, right? But I can tell you straight away the 4 is here. The 4 is the y-intercept, all right? Let me tell you how I can how I know it's exactly here. Because when I look at the function, did you realize it looks like a straight line equation? Y equals mx plus c, right? And then if you look at the c is negative 4, right? So actually, this is an equation of straight line, right? Do you agree? This is actually the equation of straight line. It's just that there's modulus, right? There's modulus. So originally, the line should be like this, right? The original line should be like this, where the y-intercept is negative 4, right? But since because of the modulus, right, this whole thing reflect up. That is why I can know so fast that the y-intercept here will be 4. Because when you reflect this up, this line become like this already, right? Okay, but apa, I can prove you using another way that this is 4. Okay, I can prove you using another way, which is by substitute it, we can sub x equals 0, right? Because this is the x-intercept, right? The x-intercept. So what happens here is I will just do it here, and then I'll substitute the x with 0. Okay, and then we will see what happens here. So 5, 0 minus 4, right? So you'll get modulus negative 4, which is 4, right? Can you see you end up with 0, 4, which is, yeah, it means the y-intercept is 4. So now let's read the question one more time. When the range is greater than 4, which is, it means mx bigger than 4, it means I have to look from here to the atas, right? Why ke atas? Because greater ma. Yeah, greater means bigger than 4, right? So now I have to write down the domain, which is the range of x, right? So if you look at the x here, it will go from, which is only this line lah, the line I circle here, right? Because when you get greater than 4, the line is this, right? Which is in between 0 and p. 0 and p, and we already know p is negative 3, so we can just write x in between negative 3 and 0. Okay, x between negative 3 and 0. So this is how I would do it. So this is how you get 2 marks here and 3 marks here. Yep. So hope you understand. Okay, let's continue with question number 3a. Okay, this is under trigonometry. Let's read the question first. Given sec theta is 1 over h, let's write this down. Sec theta. You need to know sec is actually 1 over cos. Okay, but let's leave it first. Let's read the question. Where theta is an acute angle, means quadrant 1 angle. Quadrant 1 angle. And you need to know quadrant 1 angle all positive. Okay, all positive. And then they want us to find sine square theta. Can you see they ask you to find, they didn't ask you to find theta. They asked you to find sine square theta. It means they want you to find like something theta, right? It means you have to draw. It means you have to draw. All right. This type of question you have to draw. If you don't draw, you cannot do it, right? If they ask you to find theta, then it's the different type of question, right? But if they ask you to find something theta, sine theta, cos theta, or anything, you have to draw. Okay, you need to draw. So the first step here is to draw. And when you draw, you will draw a cross, right? You will draw a cross. And after you draw a cross, you have to know where is the angle first of all. So the angle is already acute, so you know it's quadrant 1. So this is quadrant 1. So you draw a line like this, and then always tarik to x-axis. Okay, tak ada orang tarik to y, always tarik to x. And then put 90-degree here, and angle always count from here. So this is your theta, right? And since they already give you one information, sec theta is 1 over h, we can label some of the sides here, right? But sec theta is actually 1 over cos. I already mentioned you just now in the beginning. So 1 over cos theta is 1 over h. It means what is cos theta? H over 1, right? Because this one you can terbalik. But when you terbalik here, the other side also terbalik. It means 1 over cos theta terbalik become cos theta over 1. And then 1 over h terbalik become h over 1. It means cos theta is h over 1 lah. And what is the formula for cos? So ka toa. So cos is adjacent. So ka adjacent over hypotenuse. Excuse me. So this is, if this is your angle here, the pan angle, we call it opposite. The pan 90, we call it hypotenuse. And then the remaining one is the adjacent. So now the adjacent is h, right? So the adjacent is h, small h, right? And then the hypotenuse is 1. So the hypotenuse is 1, right? So can I get my opposite? Yes, by using Pythagoras theorem. It will be square root, bracket square, here is 1, here is h. Plus or minus? Minus, of course, because you're not finding the hypotenuse. You only plus when you're finding the hypotenuse, which is the longer side. But now you will minus. So you get square root, 1 square, which is 1, and then minus h square. So this is the panjang here. Can you see this question didn't even ask me to find the opposite, but I still do it. Yeah, memang you have to do like this. For this type of question, you will always draw and then label the side inside. After that, you find the remaining side. You have to need to have all 3 sides before you find the sine square half theta. So remember the steps. When they in exam they ask you to find something theta like this, always draw first. Okay. Now I already have all 3 sides. Now I can focus on what the question wants, which is the sine square over 2, right? Okay, if you look at this, this is not that we cannot do it. We cannot refer to the diagram straight away. You know why? Because this diagram, the angle is theta. The angle is theta, right? The purpose of us drawing this diagram is to refer to the diagram and then do this question, right? But now I cannot refer. The reason is very simple, because the angle is not same now. This is theta over 2, this is theta. So I have to somehow think of a way to change this theta over 2 to theta. And we can do that by using double angle formula, right? So let's write down all the double angle, right? Actually it's half angle lah. All right, so do you remember the double angle? Sine 2 theta equals to what? 2 sine theta cos theta. This is the double angle for sine 2 theta, right? And what if this is double angle? What if half angle? Half angle is when the 2 theta becomes theta here. What happens here is it will be still be 2 sine, but this one will be sine theta over 2 cos theta over 2. Okay, but I will write for cos also lah. Okay, I will write for cos also. So this is sine 2 theta double angle, and then cos 2 theta you can change to cos square theta minus sine square. And then you can also change to 2 cos square theta minus 1, or you can change to 1 minus 2, what is it? What is this? 2 sine square. Yeah. Oh, by the way, all this formula is given in the exam. Yeah, this is the formula for double angle yang you memang kena hafal dalam chapter ni, right? Okay, this is double angle. There's actually one more for tangent 2 theta, but I will not write that because I'm sure because I'm very confident I won't be using that, the tangent one, right? So let's write for the half angle. So if half angle is the same, half angle formula come from double angle, but this one is sine theta lah. So what happens here is the angle 2 theta become theta, means the angle have to divide 2. So the other side will be 2 sine, angle also divide 2, angle also divide 2, like this, right? A lot of students, they will thought is like this. They will thought if sine 2 theta is 2 sine theta, then sine theta will be sine theta cos theta. They will thought the 2 will hilang, because if the 2 here become 1, the 2 here will hilang. But this is wrong. The 2 actually will still be there. Only the angle divide 2, right? These 2 will not disappear. These 2 will still be there. Okay. So remember, angle yang bahagi 2, right? Okay, let's write for cos theta. The formula for half angle will be cos square. Remember, only angle divide 2, right? Same thing here, only angle divide 2. Okay, why angle divide 2? Because now I want to write for cos theta. This is cos 2 theta. So now I'm writing for cos theta. So of course the angle divide 2. So the other side also angle divide 2 lah. So repeat the same process here. The 2 is still there. Remember, the angle divide 2. So theta over 2 minus 1. And the last one will be 1 minus 2 sine square theta over 2. Okay, after writing all this, now tell me which formula I will use to find sine square half angle. Please remember, I'm trying to change what? I'm trying to change the theta over 2 to theta, right? And the reason why I want to change this is because I need to refer the diagram. And the diagram is theta, right? Okay, so wait for me. Okay, so now I will look at the diagram, and the diagram now is using angle theta, but my question is theta over 2. So if I want to change theta over 2 to theta, which formula I will use? Okay, I will tell you straight away. I will use this formula. This one, right? Actually, there's a lot of other formulas you can use, right? You can also use this formula actually, right? Because if you want to, cannot sine square. Yeah, the best one is this one actually, right? Because this is sine square theta over 2, right? And if you look at this is also sine square theta over 2. And if you look at the rest, yeah, I think this is the best one. Actually, you can use this also, all right? But if you use this, I think it's difficult. Yeah. So I think the best one, the formula we will use here, I think, yeah, the only one that is proper here is this formula, right? So let's write down this formula. Cos theta equals to 1 minus 2 sine square over 2, right? So we use this formula to solve this. So now I want to find sine square half angle, right? So what I will do now is erase this. Okay, erase this, and then I will write the formula, which is cos theta equals to 1 minus 2 sine square over 2, right? And then now I will try to pindah a bit, right? So I will I want sine square over 2 to be single, right? So the negative 2, I'll move it here, become positive 2 sine square theta over 2, and then here we'll left with 1, and then the cos theta can move it to the other side, become 1 minus cos theta. And then now I can find my sine square half angle, which is 1 minus cos theta over 2, right? And now you can stop already, because this side is already sine square half angle, and what they ask you to find is also sine square half angle. So now you can refer the diagram, right? So your sine square half angle will be 1 minus cos theta over 2. And cos theta, well, you can refer your diagram because your diagram is this is theta, this is also theta, right? So what you do is you take adjacent divide hypotenuse, because it's cos, right? So what is the adjacent? H. What is the hypotenuse? 1. So this is H over 1. And you don't have to put negative in front because it's first quadrant all positive, right? If you don't want to look at the diagram here, you can also look here, right? Cos theta H over 1, right? So actually we didn't end up using the opposite lah, right? But how can you know whether the exam question, because they might ask you something like tangent or like sine or something else, right? That is why it's always recommended to find all 3 sides. Okay, we don't care whether they use all 3 sides or not. When we have two sides of the right angle triangle, we straight away find the other side, right? But this question, you only need the adjacent and hypotenuse lah. All right, so what is the answer here? 1 minus H over 2. All right, so that would be the answer. Okay, all right, I think that's all. Now we can continue with B. Okay, B says solve the equation. This type of question and the A type of question is different, because B, they ask you to solve, means you are finding X, you are finding the angle, right? You are finding the theta ataupun the angle, right? But in A, you are not finding the angle, you are finding sine square angle over 2. Means for A you have to draw, right? But for B you don't have to draw. B, this one you just have to solve this equation, and then you have to determine whether it's normal case or special case. If normal case, you use calculator. Special case, you have to hafal, right? Do you remember what is special case? Special case is when your sine, cos, tangent equals to 0 1, -1, right? When sine angle 0, sine 1, sine -1, and then cos special case is 0, 1, -1. But for tangent special case is only 0, right? Okay, double, let's do it. Let's write down this question. 3 plus 4 cos 2x equals negative sine x. Okay, let me tell you why the cos 2x I suddenly put bracket. Because I realized this equation have cos, have sine. But I want my equation to only have sine ataupun only have cos. Because then only it's easier to solve the equation. When your equation have sine, have cos, have tangent, have a lot of different trigo, is very hard to solve. So what I do now is I will change the cos 2x, and memang the cos 2x can change to sine, right? I already write down here, cos 2x you can change to 1 minus 2 sine square. Why not use this? Well, because it doesn't help, right? It doesn't help. I want it to match with, I want my, because I want, it's better to change to this, 1 minus 2 sine square. Because if you change to this, you will realize now your equation only have sine, right? But you cannot write theta, of course. You have to write x, because for this case, they write x here, so you have to follow. Now, you can expand this. It becomes 3 plus 4 times 1, 4, and then 4 times 2 is 8 sine square x equals to negative sine x. Oh, one more thing. Remember, the 3 plus 4 is, you cannot do 3 plus 4 and then write 7. Cannot. You cannot do 3 plus 4 first. You have to do bracket first, right? If you do 3 plus 4 and you write 7, then it's wrong already, right? Okay, sampai sini, you can realize that this is a quadratic equation, right? Because the sign got square, right? So this one got square, this one no square, and then this one number. So this is definitely a quadratic. But you have to, so if it's quadratic, how you do it? You pindah everything to one side, and then equals 0, and then you press calculator. So let's do that. Negative 8 sine square x. So it means we arrange into general form. So the minus sine x, I'll move here, become plus sine x. And then 3 plus 4, I write plus 7 equals 0, right? So move everything to one side equals 0, and so it becomes general form. But before you press calculator, remember this. Kalau depan negative, you can tukar tanda for everyone. Tukar tanda means you divide -1, divide -1, become negative sine x, divide -1, become -7. And then the 0 also divide -1. But 0 divide -1 is 0, right? So you end up with this. Now you can press calculator lah. Okay, let's press calculator. So what will be the A? 8. What will be the B? -1. The C will be -7. Okay, my calculator give me 1 and -7/8. So definitely this is 1, this is -7/8. Okay, let me tell you another mistake yang students selalu buat. Student will sometimes write this. They will write x equals here, right? Which is wrong already, right? This is not x. This is sine x, right? This is sine x. All right, sine x equals to 1. Okay, sorry. So this is sine x, not x, sine. It means you haven't finished yet. You still have to continue, right? Let me tell you how to know what to write here. You always look at this, right? If this is sine x, you have to write x, right? But if this is x, then only you can write x equals, right? So this equation, actually, you have to write sine x, all right? Okay, so bracket equals 0. Okay, if sine x equals to 1, it means atas bracket here, you have to write sine x minus 1. All right, means you have to tukar tanda lah. Kalau plus 1, right? Minus 1. Then what about this? -7/8, you have to write plus 7. But the over 8, the 8 have to write in front. Okay, like this, right? So now you have these two. So now what you can do? You can press calculator, but you cannot press calculator if it's special case. I pernah bagi tahu you. So sine equals to 1. Normal case or special case? Special case. And special case, you kena ada dalam otak you. What is sine apa bernilai 1? The answer is 90, right? It's special case, all right? So sine 90 equals to 1, all right? And how I teach you to hafal the special case? From the graph, right? Because when this is 90, 180, 270, 360, right? So when you baca here, it's 1, right? So this is how you hafal the special case, right? And what are all the special case for sine? 1, 0, and -1, right? For all those values, you have to do it, how to say? You have to hafal. You have to hafal all the jawapan. Because all the answer for this answer, it will come out answer yang bukan, doesn't belong to any quadrant. Like for example, 90. 90 is like a special angle because it doesn't belong to quadrant 1, doesn't belong to quadrant 2. That's why I call it special case, right? And that's why special case, you can't use calculator, right? Right. I know if you use calculator, if you tekan shift sign 1, I think the calculator will give you 90. But if you try with other how to say, other some other special case, you press calculator, they will not give you the correct answer. All right. So that's why special case memang kena hafal. And this one is normal case. So normal case, you have to use calculator. But before you press calculator, we have to determine which quadrant first. So this is all positive, add sugar to coffee, right? So sign is negative. So it's quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. So now I already know it's quadrant 3, quadrant 4. Now I can get my reference angle. I pindah the sign here, becomes sign inverse. And then 7/8. Please don't tekan the negative. If you tekan negative, salah, right? Because negative only indicates quadrant. So shift sign 7/8, let's press. Okay, my calculator give me 61 degree to 3 minute. Actually, it's 2 minute, but since the belakang is more than 30, I have to plus 1. So 61 degree, 3 minute. You can write your answer in decimal also. It's up to you. And here cannot write X. For those who write X here, salah. Sini tak boleh tulis X. Sini have to write RA. What is RA? Reference angle. Right? So the next baris baru you boleh tulis X. Okay, what is reference angle? Angle means angle, reference angle means angle towards X. Ataupun angle in quadrant 1. Okay, I repeat one more time. Reference angle means angle towards X ataupun angle in quadrant 1. So this 61 degree 3 minute is not the answer. It's just angle towards X. It means here is 61 degree 3 minute and here is 61 degree 3 minute. But the actual answer is here to here. That's why you have to take 180 plus this to get the quadrant 3 answer. And to get the quadrant 4 answer, it would be 360 tolak dengan this, right? I repeat one more time, how to convert this to quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. Take 180 plus and 360 minus. So now I have to take this answer plus 180. Okay, let me press. My calculator give me 241 degree 3 minute. And this is the one of the answer lah, and it's quadrant 3 answer, right? And what about the quadrant 4 answer? You tekan 360 minus 61 degree 3 minute, right? Okay, my calculator give me 298 degree 57 minute, right? So this should be the answer, right? So I want to mention one more time before I continue. The sign 1 is a special case, so you cannot use calculator. You cannot tell me, oh sir, sign is positive, so first quadrant and second quadrant, and then you tell me something like have to convert. No. If it's special case, we don't do it like this. Special case, we need to memorize, right? And how many special case you have? 7 special case. For sine, got 1, 0, -1. For cos, got 1, 0, -1. For tangent, 0 only, right? And you need to know all the answer. Okay, all the answer for special case, right? So this is your answers lah. So don't forget to write this, ... Combine the answer here and the answer here into one baris. So x equals to, which one is the smallest value? 90. And then continue with 241 degree 3 minute. And then the last one is 298 degree 57 minute, right? So this is your answer. Okay. So, yep, I think we can continue. So let's go. Okay, let's do number 4. I think this is progression, right? So let's read here. An arithmetic progression and a geometric progression have the same first term. So arithmetic, geometric, they have the same first term, okay? Both have the same common difference and common ratio, which is 1/2. And then it says the 7th term of the arithmetic progression is 13, while the 11th term of the arithmetic progression is equal to the sum of n of first term of geometric progression. Soalan A, find the first term for both progression. Okay, let's take out information first, right? So arithmetic and geometric. So I think I will write like this. AP stands for arithmetic. And then we have another progression, which is the GP, which is geometric progression. And they say they have the same first term. So the let's call the first term X lah. Okay, because we don't know what's the first term, right? So it means the A is X. But if the A is X here, the A here must be X also, because they have the same first term, right? And then what about the difference? The common difference in arithmetic is 1/2, right? Means the D is 1/2 lah. But for the geometric, the common ratio is also 1/2, right? It means for the arithmetic progression, every number you have to plus 1/2, plus 1/2, plus 1/2. This is what it means. But for geometric, every term you have to times 1/2, means divide 2 lah. Divide 2, right? Okay, and then it says the 7th term of the arithmetic is 13. So I think I have to write T7 equals 13 on this side, right? Because it's talking about arithmetic. And then the 11th term of the arithmetic also, but this one is equal to the sum of first n term. So I think this is another important information. The 11th term, let's think about this. 11th term. So let's write here T11 of the arithmetic, okay, is equal to sum of first n term of the geometric. So Sn, right? But this is for the geometric. And then this one is for the arithmetic, right? Like this. So soalan A, it says find the first term of both the progression. Okay, let's think about this. Can I find the first term for arithmetic progression? Actually, yes, right? It's very easy because you have the T7 equals 13. So we can use the Tn formula. In arithmetic, what is the Tn formula? A plus n minus 1 d. Right? This is the formula that we will use to find this is the formula we use to find the A, right? So how do we find it? Is since we have the T7 is 13, so this is 13 lah. And then the A, which is, I don't know, so let's just call it X, and then plus n minus 1. The n in this case is 7, so 7 minus 1 is 6, times with D 1/2. So 6 divided 2, I get 3. So plus 3 become minus 3, 13 minus 3 is 10, right? So the X is 10. It means the first term is 10 lah. And since they both have the same first term, so the geometric first term is also 10, right? So now can we find the A, the first term for geometric also? I think yes, because you can. Finish already lah. I think sudah siap, right? Because soalan A, they ask you to find first term for both progression. And they both have the same first term. So the answer is 10, right? So I'll just write dot. First term for both progression, 10. Yeah, I think this is the A answer, right? Nothing much. Okay, so B, they want to find value of n. Okay, I think B, then only I will use this information, right? So T11 equals to Sn, right? Because they say 11 term of arithmetic is equal to the sum of first n term of geometric. Okay, let's write down the Sn formula for geometric. It will be Sn equals to bawah will be 1 minus r. If bawah is 1 minus r, this will be 1 minus r power n, this will be A. Or if bawah is r minus 1, this will be r power n minus 1, this will be A. It means that the Sn formula got two versions, right? And which version you will use depends on your r is bigger than 1 or smaller than 1. If your r is smaller than 1, you will use this, right? If your r is smaller than 1, you will take 1 minus, all right? But if your r is bigger than 1, then you will take r minus 1. You will use this version of the formula, right? And this, in this case, your geometric progression r is 1/2, which is 0.5. 0.5 is bigger than 1 or smaller than 1? Smaller than 1. So you have to use the 1 minus punya version, right? Means there's two versions of the formula, and for this case, you will be using this version, right? Okay, so let's write down. It will be 1 minus r, so it will be 1 minus 1/2 lah. And then the A will be 10, all right? I find it just now, and then bracket 1 minus r power n. So let's use a big bracket, 1 minus r power n. And the n in this case, they never give you. They just say, they memang n, right? They memang nak cari n. So the n I don't have, but it's okay. I have the r 1/2, right? And then what about the other side? The other side is T11, right? So what is T11? T11, we can use this formula again, right? Don't forget the 11th term is for arithmetic. It is arithmetic. It's not geometric. So only the Sn I will refer the geometric punya AR, but the T11 we will is the arithmetic one. So yeah, we use this formula again. Tn equals to A plus n minus 1d. So what is the A? 10, right? And then plus n minus 1. The n is 11 this time. 11 minus 1 is 10, and then multiply with d, which is 1/2. All right. So read the question carefully. The 11th term is for arithmetic, but the Sn is for geometric. So this is how you do it. Okay, 10 divided 2 is 5. 5 plus 10 is 15. And then 1 minus 1/2 is 1/2. And then 1/2 become times here, right? And then equals to 10, big bracket, 1 minus 1/2 power n. I hope it's not too fast, because 1 minus 1/2 is 1/2, right? So I just move it here, become times 2. And then the 15 come from here, right? The 15 come from here, right? Okay, now you can just use calculator and then pindah, solve this lah. All right, let's pindah the 10. So we will press 15 divide 2 divide 10. Let's press. Okay, my calculator give me 3/4. So I'll just write 3/4. And then this side will left with 1 minus 1/2 power n. And since I'm finding n, I'll try to make sure it's positive, right? So this is negative now. I'll move it here, become positive 1/2 power n. And then this side will left with 1 plus 3/4, move here, become minus 3/4. And you can quickly press calculator, you end up with 1/4, right? Okay, if you look carefully at this, it looks like an indices question. Do you agree? Something power something equals to something. So now what you do is you check whether these two base, whether they can change to same base or not. If they can change to same base, you will change to same base and then compare. But if cannot change to same base, you will tambah log both sides. You will add log on this side and use add log on this side. If cannot change to same base. But 1/2 and 1/4, you can change to same base, because 1/4 is actually 1/2 power 2, right? Because if you do 1 power 2, you get 1, 2 power 2, you get 4. So yeah. And what's the reason why I change to same base? Because I want to compare, right? So if they both have the same base, it means they must have the same power also. So n equals to 2, right? Means you compare lah. Base and base sudah sama, power and power pun kena sama. So n equals to 2. Yeah, that's all. So this is how you get full mark, right? Okay, let's continue with question number 5. I think this is indices log punya chapter. So let's read the question. Show that this thing can be written in the form of a bracket b power y, okay, where a and b are constant. Hence, find the values of a and b. So let's write down this first. 27 power y plus 1 plus 3 power 3y. So now they want me to convert this so that it looks like this, right? So if I want to how to say? I want to write this into this form, I have to simplify this, right? I have to simplify so that it will look like this at the end. So how do we simplify? Well, we always try to change to same base. If can change to same base, we will always change to same base and try to make it the smallest, right? Try to make it into a smaller base, paling small punya base. So for if we look at 27, can we change this to any smaller base? The answer is yes, because 27 can change to base 3. 3 power what is 27? 3 power 3, right? But don't forget there's a y plus 1, so I'll write bracket y plus 1 beside like this. What about base 3? Can I change base 3 to any smaller base? The answer is no, right? 3 is a prime number and you can't change this to any smaller base. So you just leave it like this. Now you will add, you will continue. What we do with the power here, we times, right? When we have power side by side like this, bracket, we will times them together. So 3 times y plus 1 is 3y plus 3, right? And then plus 3 power 3y, right? Okay, it's still not the answer yet. You cannot stop here. Now what we have to do? Okay, some student, they will do like this, right? They will tell me, oh, sir, this one is plus. So I can take these two and merge them together. And then I can do 3y plus 3 plus 3y. Okay, this is wrong. This is wrong. You can't do it like this. Remember, you can only do it like this if this is times, right? Do you remember the law of indices? If I have a power m times a power n, then only, if the base same, then only we can take the power plus, right? If I have a power m plus a power n, can we take the power plus? Cannot. Cannot. This one, tak ada formula yang boleh, we didn't even learn any formula that apply for plus minus punya soalan. If times, then only we can take the power plus, kalau same base, right? But if same base tengah-tengah plus, the power we cannot plus, right? Then what we do? Okay, for this type of, for the plus minus type of question, we have to separate. Okay, separate everything. Separate everything, and then we try to bungkus later. For yang tak boleh buat, we try to bungkus later, right? Let me show you how to separate. This thing, when you separate, it becomes 3 power 3y times 3 power 3, right? And then this thing, we cannot separate already. So it's just 3 power 3y. You can only separate when the power got plus minus, right? So if like this got plus, you can separate 3 power 3y times 3 power 3. But this one, there's no plus minus, so you just write like this. And now, for the 3 power 3y, you will bungkus. Bungkus means you will write bracket like this. Why? Because you cannot solve 3 power 3y. You cannot do 3 power 3y, right? You can only, you cannot use calculator to calculate this, right? But 3 power 3 you can calculate using calculator, which is 27. And the 27 you can write in front. If you want to write at the back also can, but it's better to write in front. And don't forget their relation is times relation. And then plus with 3 power 3y. And 3 power 3y you cannot do anything, right? So it will just bungkus. Bungkus means put bracket. And after you reach here, you will realize that the bungkus here is 3 power 3y and the bracket here is 3 power 3y. And inside bracket, they are exactly the same thing. 3 power 3y, 3 power 3y. So you can treat this as a A. Okay, you can let this become A. So it becomes 27A plus 1A. So what is 27A plus 1A? 28A, right? But of course, you don't write A. You write 3 power 3y. Okay, so this will be your answer. But I remember the soalan want us to write in a specific form. Let's double confirm. Did we write in this specific form? A bracket B power Y. This one is A bracket B power 3Y. So actually, this is actually not quite there yet. I still have some working to do, right? Because I want my form to be A B power Y. B power Y, power Y. This one is power 3Y. So how can we do this? Okay, do you remember just now I mentioned if the power side by side like this, what you do? With the power you times, right? So for example, if I give you A power n, you will times them together, A power mn, right? But you can also write it like this, A power n power m. Do you agree? Because like this also, when you times them together, n times m, and m and mn is the same thing, means these three is the same thing. So can you teach me how can I write this? if I want to do 3 power 3y, isn't it the same as 3 power y? Okay. Sorry, 3 power 3, 3 power 3, and then power y, right? Okay, let me write nicely. 3 power 3 power y, right? It's the same, right? Why is the same thing? Because when you write the power side by side like this, you will times them together. And 3 times y is 3y. Yeah. Because of this law, right? Of course, you can also write the y inside and then the 3 outside. But I won't do that. Because if I write the y inside, I cannot do 3 power y. But if I write the 3 inside, I can solve this using calculator, right? So now you can easily do this. You'll get 28 bracket 27. So this is 27. And then the power y, just write inside like this. So this is the answer, right? Okay, can I stop here? Let's check one more time. Show that this thing can be written in the form, but then they say, hence, find the values of a and b. So there's one more thing to do. The form is a bracket b power y. So I already successfully write this in this a bracket b power y, but I still have to list down the a value and b value. So the a is 28. You just compare like this, and then b is 27. Like this. So this is how you get full mark, right? So because they want you to write in this form, but they also ask you to state the values of a and b. So you should write this. Okay, you should write this. Okay, now we do B question. All right, B question, I don't think it's related to A, so I can just cover it. And then now I'll do B here. So let's read what they want. Solve this equation. Solve means find x. So if you look at this side and this side, they both have log, right? But if you look at the base, they are not the same base. If they are same base, we can compare straight away. We can take this and this terus keluarkan and then equals, right? If they are same base, but it's not same base, so I have to change. Excuse me. I have to change to same base, right? Since this one is base P, this one is base square root P, so I think it's best to change to base P. Okay, it's changed to best to change to base P. Okay, so this side is already base P. I will not do anything. I'll just write it down. And for this one, I will change to base P. And do you remember how to change base? You have to buka satu log atas, buka satu log bawah. And for the log number 3 minus x, you have to write atas. The log base, which is square root P, which is P power 1 over 2, you have to write bawah, right? Then as for the base, what you have to write? Well, you want to change to what base? You want to change to base P, right? Then you write P, okay? You understand, huh? Of course, you can change to other base also, right? But the best choice here is change to base P, right? Okay, what we can do with this 1 over 2? We can actually bring it to the front, okay? And after you bring it to the front, log PP is 1. So you can cut this and then you're left with 1 over 2, right? But here is still left with log P 3 minus x. And then this side is still log P 5 plus x squared, right? Okay, how to continue? Well, we can, let's see. Yeah, I think we can do like this, which is I can take the 1 over 2 and move here, right? Because this one is divide 1 over 2. When you pindah here, become times 1 over 2. And when you times 1 over 2, it becomes 1 over 2 log P 5 plus x squared, right? And then here only left with log P 3 minus x because you already pindah the 1 over 2 to the other side. Now you can compare already. They are the same base. Can you see? Log base P, log base P. Just now cannot compare because the base is not same. Now the base is same. But you also have to make sure the depan log cannot have number. The depan log here tak ada number, but the depan log here ada number. So I think I have to make sure the depan log tak ada number and same base baru saya compare. So the 1 over 2, what we can do? We can move atas. We can move up, becomes power. And don't forget, power 1 over 2 means square root, right? I already explained just now. And then equals to log P 3 minus x. Okay, finally, they are already same base. Both sides log same base and tak ada nombor depan log. So now we can take out take out the inside and compare, right? So when we compare, we will write square root 5 plus x squared equals to 3 minus x, right? It means the log P and the log P sudah sama, so it's like you don't write that already. You only compare whatever's inside. Okay, how to find x now? For if I think I'll bina the square root first. Yeah. So how to hilangkan the square root is I will square both sides, right? Square here, I'll square here. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to get rid of the square root. So what happens when I square this side? The square root and the square will cancel each other. So you're left with 5 plus x squared. But for this one, you have to expand. And how you expand? Depan square, depan darab belakang darab 2, and then belakang square. So 3 square is 9. Depan darab belakang is negative 3x times 2 is negative 6x. Belakang square is plus x square. right? This is the proper way to expand it. And then now you can find x. What is x squared minus x squared? 0. Negative 6x pindah jadi 6x. 5 pindah jadi minus 5 dapat 4. So x equals to 2 over 3, right? I think this is very straightforward. You just use your calculator to help you and then you will get the answer eventually, right? Okay, so that's it. Okay, let's go to number 6a. Convert this whole thing to a fraction without using progression method. What does it mean by without using progression method? Okay, sebenarnya this type of decimal we call it recurring decimal, right? Okay, for my own student, I got teach this in class. I teach this recently, right? And for my own student, I teach them two methods. One is the normal method, one is the progression method. The progression method is you have to use the S infinity formula, right? But since this question, they want me to do it without using the progression method, so I will not be using the S infinity punya cara. I'll be using the other method, which is the normal method, right? But for my own student, you should know this already because I teach all of you already. Right? I remember I teach this recently, right? So what do we call this type of decimal? Recurring decimal ataupun repeating decimal because it keeps repeating. The digit keeps on repeating until infinity. So let's write down 0.168, right? So they already said cannot use progression method. So we use the normal method. And how do we use the normal method? We will let n. Okay, let's write the word let. So we will let n equals to this, which is 0.168, dot, right? Okay, it doesn't have to be n. It can be any alphabet. You can write x, you can write a, you can write f or whatever. You can write whatever alphabet you want. Okay, but when I teach, I use n, right? So after you write this, what happens here is you will times 1000, right? You will times 1000. So the n times 1000 will be 1000 n, and then this one also times 1000. And you don't need to use calculator because times 1000 means you are moving the decimal point 3 times to the right. So you will get 168.168.168. For those who's asking, hey sir, why you times 1000? Because they repeat after 3 digit. If they repeat after 3 digit, you times 1000. But if they repeat after 2 digit, you times 100, right? So what if your recurring decimal is 0.33333 like this? This one, what you do? You times 10 you times 10 because they repeat after satu digit. You faham? So this one repeat after 3 digit. That's why I times 1000. And after I times 1000, I will call this equation 1. I will call this equation 2, and I have to take 2 minus 1. Okay. I'll take equation 2 minus equation 1. So what is equation 2 minus equation 1? 1000 n minus n. So let's write it down. 1000 n minus n. And then the other side will be 168.168.168.168 until repeat until infinity, tolak dengan yang ni, which is 168. Do you agree? Because when you take this one, 168.168.168 until infinity, minus with 0.168.168.168 until infinity, do you agree all these will cancel? Because when you minus, of course, they all will get 0. So you will just left with 168 minus 0. That's why after you tolak these two things, you will get 168. Okay, after you reach here, you can actually find your n, right? And don't forget, n is the recurring decimal. So now you can find your n. You take 1000 n minus 1 n, which is 999 n, equals to 16. So now you can get your n easily. Just take 16, divide 999. Not 16, 168. Sorry, I forgot the 8. So now you just press 168. Divide 999. Okay, my calculator give me 56 over 333, right? So it means you will press this 168 divide 999 in your calculator, and then you change to fraction. It means you tekan the shift ABC button. So they give me 56 over 333. What it means, it means if you press 56 divide 333, the calculator will give you this 0.168161. It will give you this recurring decimal, right? So I hope you understand. This is how you convert recurring decimal to fraction using the normal method, right? But what about progression method? Okay, progression method, I will explain it quickly, right? Even though the question never say already cannot use progression, but I'll explain a bit. Recurring decimal is like this. You change this to a geometric progression. So you will write like this: 0.168, 168, 168, 168. You will write like this, equals to 0.168 plus 0.000, because they repeat after 3 digits, so it will be 3 zeros. And then, sorry, 0.000168, and then plus again with, ayo. Okay, plus with 0. This time 6 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 6, 8, and then plus until infinity. So you are finding the S infinity lah. And what is the S infinity formula? A over 1 minus R. And what is the A? The A here, you will substitute this. And then what is the R? The R, you will take kanan bahagi kiri, which is 0.000168 divided 0. And then you substitute here, and then you press calculator, and then you will get the answer. And trust me, the answer will be exactly the same. You will get the same here, like this, right? But this method is like the progression method lah. This is called the progression method, right? Okay, so yeah. Okay, so let's continue with B lah. All right, so I'll just write B here. But if the question already mentioned cannot use progression method, then obviously you have to use this method, right? Because if you write like this, you will not get any marks for the working. So we have to follow what the question wants, right? If the question wants us to do using this, then we just follow lah. Okay, let's go B. The solution of the equation. Solution means the answer. Solution means answer, right? So the answer for the equation of blah 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 is this, right? So this is the answer. This is the answer, where P and Q are constant. Without using calculator, find the values of integer P and Q. Okay, I think there's only one way to do it. Is you write down the square the soalan first. This is the soalan. Square root 12 times x minus square root 5 times x equals to square root 6. Okay, be very careful. The x, they never write inside the square root. Do you realize the square root, they never cover until here? They only covered the square root is only for the 12. Same thing here, the square root only until 5. All right. And if there's nothing in between means the relation is times, right? So I put a dot here, means the dot here means times. And what I do now is I try to solve this equation myself, right? After I solve the equation, I will take my answer, compare with the answer yang the soalan bagi punya jawapan. You understand? Because they already said that the answer for this is this. So what I will do now is I will do myself. Right, I will do myself, and then I'll try to get my own answer, and then I take my own answer, compare it with this, then I will get my P and Q. So let's do it now. So first thing first, let's what we do now? How do we simplify this? Let's see, square root 12x minus square root 5x. We can factorize, right? Because if you want to find x, right? Because they already said the solution. Solution means the answer for this, right? And if you look at this equation, there's only one unknown, which is x, right? It means this whole thing is x, right? This answer is x, right? But I don't want, but this is the x answer yang soalan bagi. So I have to find myself, my own x answer. So how to get my own x answer? The first thing, my instinct now is to factorize, right? Because my x ada muncul dua kali. So when I factorize it, it will become what? When I take it, when I factorize means I divide lah. So I left with square root 12 minus square root 5 like this equals to square root 6. Okay, and when you expand this, you will get back atas, right? Okay, sampai sini buat apa? Let's see. I want to find x. So obviously this whole thing have to pindah to the other side. So it becomes square root 6 divided square root 12 minus square root 5, right? And let me tell you, actually square root 12 can simplify, right? Square root 12 becomes square root 4 times 3, and then you will get 2 square root 3, right? But I will not do that. Okay, I will not do that. Even though can also, all right? If you want to simplify the square root 12 to 2 square root 3 now, can also. But I will not do that. I will rationalize first. I will rationalize after I hilangkan square root bawah, then only I simplify. You understand? So I want to do it like this, right? And let me tell you why I want to rationalize. Because if you look at the answer yang dia bagi, can you see the denominator tak ada square root? Yeah, right? It's just over 7. It means I have to rationalize lah. Do you remember what is rationalize? Rationalize means you hilangkan square root. You hilangkan square root. But you will hilangkan square root dekat bawah. But how to hilangkan this square root? You have to multiply ataupun times with the conjugate cert. And what will be the conjugate cert? It will be square root 12 plus square root 5. Right? Square root 12 plus square root 5. Okay? Or some student, maybe they simplify the square root 12 already. It means they how to say, they simplify this, become 2 square root 3. Can also, if you do like that, then the conjugate cert will be 2 square root 3 plus 5 lah. Can also, you will get the same answer, right? It's just that I didn't do it like this. Okay, so don't forget there's another bracket here also. Okay, now I can find my x, and how I times atas darab atas, bawah darab bawah. So square root 6 times square root 12, square root 72. And then square root 6 times square root 5, square root 30, right? Remember the law of cert. If you have square root a times square root b, they can, if they both have square root, they can join become 1 square root, but only if it's times lah ataupun divide, then only they can masuk, right? So this one times, that's why it can join become square root becomes square root. right? And then 6 times 12, 72. And then 6 times 5, 30. Okay, what about yang bawah? Yang bawah, you just have to take depan darab depan, belakang darab belakang. Square root 12 times square root 12, 12. And then negative square root 5. Okay, let's look at the sign first. Negative, positive becomes negative. Square root 5 times square root 5, 5. All right. Let me tell you why you don't have to do like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why you don't have to do like this? Because they will cancel each other. Square root 12 times square root 12 is 12. What is square root 12 times square root 5? Square root 60. And then square root 60, what about here? Negative square root 5 times square root 12 is negative square root 60. Can you see square root 60 minus square root 60 is 0? So they will cancel each other. That's why I never even bother to times, right? I just take depan darab depan and then belakang darab belakang, right? Okay, finally we already sampai here. 12 minus 5 is 7. And then atas left with square root 72 plus square root 30. But I already mentioned you can simplify this, right? Because just now I didn't simplify. I choose to darab everything first, right? So let's simplify the 72. How to simplify 72? Let's think about this. 72. Siapa dapat 72? 9 times 8, right? Why I choose 9 times 8? Because I know 9 can simplify. But actually, it's not smart to do 9 times 8, right? You have to think about the biggest perfect square that is a factor of 72, right? So let's write down all the perfect square. 1 square, 1, 2 square, 4, 3 square, 9, 4 square is 16, 5 square, 25, 6 square, 7 square, 49, 8 square, 64, 9 square, 81, 10 square, 100. And we have to look at the largest perfect square that is a factor of 72. So 72 can divide which number here? 36, right? So 36 is the largest perfect square that is a factor of 72, right? If you press 72 divide 36, you will realize you memang boleh divide is 2, right? If you tekan greater. So 72 is actually 36 times 2, right? Then some student might ask, hey, sir, what if you do 9 times 8? Can also. If you do 9 times 8, you realize that after you simplify, you can simplify one more time, right? Because you didn't divide with the highest, the biggest perfect square. Okay, that's why it's smarter to divide with the highest perfect square. Means because if you do like this, you only simplify sekali saja, right? Okay, what about square root 30? Same thing here. We have to choose the highest perfect square, that, and at the same time, it has to be the factor of 30. So what is the highest perfect square? 30 cannot divide 25, cannot 16, 9 cannot 4. Can I divide 4? Cannot, right? 30 can divide 4. I don't think so, right? Cannot. So I think the 30 memang tak boleh simplify already lah. Yeah, 30 cannot simplify. So 30 is like cannot how to say pecahkan already. So now you just left with this. So it will be x equals, okay, 36 can square root is 6, and then 2 cannot square root, you just write 6 square root 2 and then plus square root 30 over 7. And finally, now we can compare my answer. This finished already, I sudah siap. So now we can compare my answer with the answer yang dia bagi. So answer yang dia bagi is what? X equals p square root 2 plus square root q over 7. So I'll write beside, right? I'll write beside. So x equals p square root 2 plus square root q over 7. So this one is the answer yang saya buat sendiri, right? And then this one is the answer yang the soalan bagi. So now I can find my PQ because I can compare, right? So P is the coefficient of square root 2, which is 6. And then Q is whatever inside the square root here, which is 30. So Q is 30. And P is 6, right? So that's all. That's the answer. Okay, let's continue. Okay, let's go. Number 7. Let's read. Mr. Saleh has a triangular piece of land. If I am you, I'll straight away draw the triangle. But I don't want to draw first because I don't know whether it's a right angle triangle or isosceles. So let's just read the whole thing first. The two sides of the land, okay, the triangle, the land is a triangle, have length 2x plus 10 meter and 5x plus minus 20 meter. Oh, so they gave us two sides, right? And then they say the angle between two sides means the included angle, right? The angle in between these two sides is 30, right? It means we call this the included angle. And then they say find the length of both sides of the land to the nearest integer if the area is 1,700. I think you have to draw it out. Okay, you have to draw it out because it's very hard to imagine, right? So let's just draw a triangle, but they never say it's right angle or whatever, right? So I'll just draw a normal triangle, right? Because we just draw it to help us imagine, right? The drawing tak ada markah. This drawing tak ada markah, right? So it doesn't matter even if you draw it, if your drawing is wrong also, it doesn't matter, right? Like dia tak ada tengok pun drawing tu. So two sides is 2x plus 10, 5 minus, so let's just choose any two sides. Okay, we don't care, the drawing can be wrong one. Okay, this is just to help us imagine. So let's just write in any sides 2x plus 10 and another side is 5x minus 20. And be careful, everything is in meter, right? And then they say the angle between two sides, which is this lah, right? 30, right? But maybe some of you want to write here and here. Can also, then the 30 you put in the middle lah, right? It means that the side you can put any two sides you want lah. Just make sure the angle is in between the two sides, right? And then they say find the length of both sides of the length. So I think they want to find this length and this length, right? But in order to find this, we need to find x first, right? And then they got give us one information here to help us find x, which is the area, right? They say area is 1,700. So yeah, I think I can find x. Okay, which chapter is this, by the way? This is solution of triangle, right? So how do we find area of triangle? If it's not a right angle triangle, how do we find area? We use the 1/2 AB sine C formula, right? If it's a right angle triangle, we can just do 1/2 times base times height, right? But if it's not a right angle triangle, we will use this formula. So 1/2 AB sine C, and the AB has to be any two sides, and the angle must be the included angle. So the sides here is very obvious. It's very easy to choose. So I'll write 1/2. One of the side is 5x minus 20, and then times with 2x plus 10, and then plus times with the sine included angle, which is sine 30, right? So how do we solve this? I think you did also correct already, right? Yeah, meter square, meter. Yeah, so yeah. So now we can solve for x, but we have to calculate slowly lah. So let's press sine 30 first. So what is sine 30? 1/2, right? And then the 1/2, you will times with 1/2 here, becomes 1/4, right? 1/4. And then the 1/4 here, this one will become bracket, and then I will expand this, right? So sine 30 is 1/2, 1/2 is 1/4, and then this one I'll expand. So 5x times 2x, 10x squared. 5x times positive, is this positive or negative? Positive. So it's plus. So 5x times positive 10 is plus 50x. And then negative 20 times 2 is just negative 40x. Okay, not enough space. And then the last one is negative 20 times 10, right? Okay. So negative 20 times 2x is negative 40x, and then negative 20 times 10 is negative 200. And then the whole thing here is equals to 1700, right? Now what I do is I will pindah the 1/4 to the other side. So now it becomes 10x squared. Okay, at the same time, I can also solve for this quickly. 50x minus 4x is plus 10x minus 200 equals to 1,700 times 4. Because the 4 duduk bawah means bahagi. So bahagi jadi times. So divide become times when you pindah. So this is 6,800. So now got square. Got square means what? Means you have to move everything to one side equals 0, because this is quadratic. So 10x squared plus 10x plus 6,800 become minus. So what is negative 200 minus 6,800? Negative 7,000, right? So you get negative 7,000. So now you can use calculator, but I realized that these three numbers can simplify, can kecilkan. All these numbers can divide 10. So divide 10, x squared, divide 10, x, divide 10, 700 equals 0. You should always, simplify. Kalau boleh simplify before you press calculator. So now let's press calculator and see what I get. Okay, my calculator give me what? We press, the A is 1, the B is 1, the C is negative 700. Okay, the calculator give me answer which is 25.96, but when you try to change to fraction, you can see that the calculator don't let you change to fraction. And the reason is very simple, because this is not a cantik punya jawapan. What do I mean by cantik punya jawapan? Cantik punya jawapan means answer yang boleh tukar jadi fraction. And this cannot change to fraction. And do you remember we learned in chapter 2 from 4, if the quadratic equation punya answer is like a ugly answer, it means tak cantik punya jawapan, where you cannot change to fraction, you have to use which method? You cannot use the calculator method, right? You have to use another method known as the quadratic formula method, right? You can do completing the square also, but I usually say completing the square, we don't use it, right? Unless the soalan got mentioned, then only we use that method. So now we have to use quadratic formula to solve this, right? And what is the quadratic formula? Did you remember? The quadratic formula looks like this. X equals negative b plus minus square root b square minus 4ac over 2a. So this is the formula that I'll use now. All right, x equals. But it's not always x equals. Sometimes it can be k equals, right? Depending on what is the variable, right? But for this case, it's x. So let's draw the line first. Okay, bawah is 2a, and the a is very straightforward. It's just 1, and then negative b. The b is also 1, and then plus minus square root b square minus 4ac. Okay, the b and a is 1. So b is 1, a is 1, but the c is negative 700. So now we just press calculator. I will press down here first. 2 times 1 is 2. Negative 1 is negative 1, plus minus square root. Okay, let's press all this. But don't press the square root first, right? So we'll press 1 square minus 4 times 1, tekan, and then bracket negative 700. Okay, my calculator give me 2801, right? 2801. So now what is the next step? Okay, this plus minus means what? Means you have to split into two answers. One is negative 1 plus square root 2801 divide 2. And another one is same thing, but I have to minus. Okay, now let's press negative 1 plus square root 2801. And then equal, and then answer divide 2. Okay, 25.96, right? Let's just write false integer. Or the other answer, you can press one more time, but this time is minus. So you press negative 1 minus square root 2801 equal dulu, and then baru divide 2. Okay, I get negative 26.96. Okay, negative 26.96. So these are my 2x answer. But the question never asks you to find, okay, the question asks you to find length of both sides. So it means I need to substitute the x inside, find this length and this length, right? But is it possible for the x to be negative 26.96? The answer is no, because when the x is negative 26.96, what happens when you times with a 5? You will get negative number, and then negative number minus 20, you'll get even smaller. You will get negative number. So it's not possible for the length to be negative, right? So what we have to write down here? Rejected. Rejected means we ignore this answer, right? So the correct answer here is what? 25.96. But if you look at the question, they got mentioned this. Find length of both sides of the length to the nearest integer. So what we can do now? We can round it off to the nearest integer, which is 26. Then only I substitute inside here. Do you understand? Or you can also substitute 25.96 inside first. Then only you round it off to the nearest integer. Can also, right? But I will just round off first lah. So now it's 26. So now I can find the length of both sides. So I will, okay, I don't have enough space. So what should I do? So let's just do it here. Okay, I think it's enough. So it will become 2x plus 10 equals, and then another one is 5x minus 20 equals. And then both I will put 26, right? Actually, you want to substitute 25.96 also can, right? But after you do that, make sure you round it off lah. All right, so let's press calculator. 2 times 26 plus 10. Okay, my calculator give me 62, but don't forget it's meter. And then the other one is 5 times 26 minus 20. Okay, it's 110, right? 110, and it's meter also, right? So this is both the answers, right? So what the question asks, let's double confirm. Find the length of both sides. So what is the length of both sides? ... 62 meter and 110 meter. And you should get full mark, right? If you're working, it's like this, then you will get full mark. Okay, sudah siap. Okay, let's continue with question number 8. Okay, I remember a lot of students struggle with this question. You know, a lot of you WhatsApp me and ask me how to do this question. Okay, let's do it together. All right. Okay, number 8. Diagram 3 shows a flower vase. Vase. Actually, how to pronounce, I'm not sure. Okay, let's just call it vase lah. It shows a flower vase where the interior side surface of the vase can be represented by this equation. Okay, if we look at this equation, the power is 2. So it's a quadratic curve lah. So I think it's the inner surface, right? So this inner surface, right? Okay, let's just erase. And then let's see what it says. Using the measurements given, I think it's referring to the 12, 16, and 8 lah. And then it says what? Find the volume in cm cube of the flower vase. Show the answer in terms of pi. Okay, when I first do this question, it took me a while. Yeah, it took me a while. Like, it took me like maybe 20 minutes. Like, it took me a while to figure out like how to do it, right? Okay, first of all, I just want you to know that this is an integration question. Okay, because you cannot use the volume of hemisphere. They never mention this is a hemisphere. They never mention what shape is the bowl, right? So definitely you cannot use the volume of hemisphere, right? So the only way is to use integration method to find area, because they got give us equation, right? So definitely is volume, right? But the problem is, how can we integrate? Because we don't have the y-axis and the x-axis now, right? So now we have to draw our own y-axis, x-axis. So yeah, so what I will do now is I will draw the y-axis, x-axis, but where should I draw it, right? Like, where is it? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it in the middle? And where is the x-axis? Is it like cut it like this, cut 2 points, or cut 1 point? Like, how I know? Okay, I'll just explain to you one thing. Look at the equation. Y equals ax squared. Definitely it's a U shape. Okay, even though I don't know the A, I will know for sure it's a U shape. You know why? Because bowl ma, bowl ma, bowl. They already say the inside surface follow this equation. So definitely the bowl must look like this, right? And where will be the x-axis? I will tell you now. It will be like this. Yep, it will be like this. It will touches the curve at the minimum point. It means it will touches the curve at 1 point. At that point, you can say tangent. Okay, some of you might ask, hey, so how you know this? How you know that the x-axis is like this? Why not two different roots or no roots? How you know is tell me lah. Tell me, students. Tell me, how can we know the curve got two different roots, two equal roots, or no roots? We find the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. But look at the b. What is the b? 0. What is the a? We don't know, right? But it's okay. What is the c? 0. Okay, even though we don't know the a, we can still calculate the b squared minus 4ac, because 0 squared is 0, and these three you have to times together. -4 times a. Okay, you don't know the a, but it doesn't matter, because a can be anything. Because later when you times with 0, this whole thing will become 0 anyway. And 0 minus 0 is 0. So what happens when your b squared minus 4ac is 0? It means have two equal roots. Two equal roots means it means one x-intercept. Two equal roots, it means one root lah. Two equal root means, and one root is the same meaning, right? That is why I know the x-axis here. Now the next question, where is the y-axis? Okay, I'll tell you straight away. The y-axis is here in the middle, right? It means the axis of symmetry will be x equals 0. For those who's asking, hey sir, how you know? How you know that? How you know that the y-axis is here? Okay, if imagine, what is the turning point? 0, 0, right? Okay, if you look at you already know the x-intercept is 0. Okay, actually we don't know, we don't know the x-intercept. Okay, but how can I prove to you that the y-axis is here? Okay, actually you just look at the b. You just look at the b. Okay, if you look at this equation, what is the b? The b is 0, right? There's nothing at the back already. So the b is 0, because b is the number in front of x. And this equation don't even have x. They only have x squared. So if the b is 0, what happens to the curve? Means what happens to the y-axis? It will be in the middle like this, right? Doesn't matter if it's U shape or N shape. If the b is 0 for the equation, the y-axis will be here, right? It means it will be in middle. Okay. Then what if the b is bigger than 0? Okay, if the b is bigger than 0, the y-axis will be here. But if it's N shape, it will be here, right? And how you memorize this? Okay, if b bigger 0 means after the curve touches the y-intercept, it have to move up, right? That's why you cannot place the y-axis here, because if you place it here, after it touch, it will move down. Because it's bigger than 0, that's why you have to move up, right? Same thing here. The moment the curve touches the y-axis, it will move up. Look at the arrow. Yeah. And the same thing applies when it's b smaller than 0. But that one have to move down lah. But I will just erase this thing. All right. So I hope I'm just telling you how to memorize it lah, how to remember it. All right. Okay, but for this question, the b is exactly 0. That is why you can draw it in the middle. Okay, it means the axis of symmetry is x equals 0. All right. I just want to give you one more tips. If your equation one day, the b and the c is 0, the turning point is 0, 0. All right. I repeat one more time. Remember this. If one day your equation, the b is 0 and the c is 0, then the turning point is 0, 0. I remember this. This one, confirm one, right? That is why if you look at the curve, the turning point is 0, 0, right? Okay, after I draw my curve, now I can try to, label in the 16, 12, 8, and so on lah. Okay, so definitely there is a point here, there is a point here, right? This point, because the height is 12, right? And then this one is 16. Okay, so actually I know that the panjang from here to here is 16, right? Is 16. And bowl usually are symmetrical. Symmetrical means when you cut it in half, you will get -8 and 8 here. It means the x coordinate here is 8, okay? And the x coordinate here is -8, right? But the y coordinate, they will have the same y coordinate, by the way. But the y coordinate, a lot of you might write 12, right? But let me tell you, the moment you write 12 is wrong, right? It's wrong. Actually, this is not the height 12. Okay, let me tell you that if you look carefully at this bowl, can you see the inner surface? Can you see this is a perfect curve, right? But the moment when it reach here, it becomes a horizontal line. Do you realize? Because imagine if your bowl is like this and you put it on the table, what happens to the bowl? It will fall. It will fall. It will fall down. Do you agree? Because the base of the bowl must be horizontal. Then only when you place it on the table, it will stay there. It will stay there, and you can place it like stable. It can be stable. It can be stable only when the tapak is a horizontal base. It's a flat surface lah. It's a flat surface. But if it's a curved surface like this and you put it there, it will just whatever you put, whatever food inside here, it will just spill out, because when you place it on the table, it will not be stable. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you now? It means definitely when the curve reach here, it means that actually there is still curve down here, right? There's still curve down here. It's just that they cut it off here. They cut it off. They cut off the curve here. Do you understand? It means there's still some height here. That is why I say you cannot write the 12 as the height of the whole thing, because 12 is only from the here to here. But actually there is still a little bit of height here, and we don't know this height. But it's okay. Look at the 8 cm. The 8 cm is indicating what? Indicating that what is half of 8? It means there is still it means we have to cut off the bowl here lah, right? Somewhere here lah, because I want the bowl to be instead of a curve like this, I want it to be flat, right? Because if you think logic, all the bowl is like that one. Like go to the kitchen now and check all the bowl. Where got the bowl punya base is like curve one, all is like flat surface, right? That's why you have to cut it off here so that it looks more like a bowl. And don't forget that we know this is -4 and 4. For those who's wondering why 4, -4, because they give us this 8 cm. It means that when you cut it off here and here, the panjang here is 8. All right, but you can divide 2 actually, because it's symmetrical. One more time, okay? When you tarik a line here, this side of the bowl and this side of the bowl must be symmetrical, right? Okay, so this is why I can write 4, -4 like this, right? But what is the thingy here? This is the problem, right? The 12, I already know where is it. The 12 is here until here. Do you agree? This is 12, but not the whole, not until here, definitely not until here. The 12 is only here until here. And when I find the volume, I'm only finding here. I'm only finding here, not including this, right? Because this is not the bowl. This part is already, we already cut it off, right? So how do we do this? Okay, first of all, when we have the equation already, y equals ax squared, right? So I think we can substitute what? We can substitute 4 inside the x. Do you agree? To get the height here, right? Even though the equation is not complete, we will get in terms of a, but we can still do that. So let's go. Y equals to ax squared. And since I'm trying to find out the height here, I will substitute x equals 4. And you can substitute -4 also, you will get the same, right? So it'll be ax squared, which and you get 4 here. What if you substitute -4? Is the same, because when you square, the negative will hilang, right? So what you get here is 16a. So the y coordinate is 16a. It means this is 16a, right? And the coordinate of this point is 4, 16a. The coordinate of this point is -4, 16a. Do you understand? And what about this point? You can also do the same thing. You will substitute inside this equation, ax squared, but you will substitute x equals to 8 to get the y coordinate. Or you can substitute -8 also. You will get the same answer, because they have the same y coordinate, right? So let's go. Y equals to don't know, y nak cari, and then a also don't know, but the x is 8. So 8 squared is 64a. So the y coordinate is 64a. So definitely this is 64a. This also 64a. It means this is 64a. So you can see, I can actually find a. Do you realize this is 16a? And the difference between here and here is 12. So what we can write here? 64A minus 16A equals to 12. Faham or tak faham? Okay, means when you take the 64A, which is the whole height, that means the tinggi seluruh lah, minus with the 16A, I'll get 12, right? Or you can also say, you can also write like this, 16A plus 12 equals to 64A. Can also. 16A is here, right? When you pass with 12, you get 64A. Yeah, this and this is the same thing, right? It's the same, right? Because when you move the, how to say, when you move the minus 16 to the other side, it becomes 16A plus 12. Like this, yeah, it's the same, right? So I hope you understand. This one is correct, this is also correct. So now we can calculate my A, and after I calculate my A, I know already this value and this value. So let's calculate. Excuse me. 64 minus 16. Let's press. Excuse me. So I'll get 48A equals to 12. So now I can get my A. 12 over 48 is 1 over 4, right? So let's update my diagram now. Because if I know my A, it means I know a lot of stuff already. I know the thingy here is no longer 64. It will be 64 divided 4, which is 16. Same thing here, 64A. I already know my A is 1 over 4, right? And what is 64 divided 4? 16. It means that I can erase this also and write 16. It means that this, in y-axis, the y-coordinate is 16, right? Then what about the 16A? Well, you can also update, right? So what you do is you erase this, and then 16A, but the A is 1 over 4. So what is 16 times 1 over 4? 16 divided 4 is 4, right? So now I know this is 4, this is 16. And now I can find the volume of the flower vase. Show the answer in terms of pi. Okay, so which volume I'm finding? This one, right? So when we find volume, the shaded region will revolve 360-degree about y-axis ataupun revolve x-axis, right? But for this case, actually, we will take this piece and we will revolve y-axis, right? It's not takkanlah revolve x-axis. You already look at the diagram, right? It has to rotate 300 one side circle 360. Then you will end up with the bowl shape. So let's write volume here. So you will revolve y-axis, so it will definitely be dy. And if it's dy here, this must be pi x squared. And what about the number here? It will be 16 4, 16 atas, 4 bawah. All right. So this is how you calculate volume. You are taking this region, revolve 360-degree about the y-axis, get a bowl shape, get a 3D shape, right? Okay, what we can do with the pi, we can letak depan, and then here will be 6 4, and then here left with x squared. And x squared, we will refer the equation. Okay, the A we already know is 1 over 4. So what do? Y equals 1 over 4 x squared. So x squared equals to 4y. So this is the one I write here. Understand? Because when you take out the pi here, left with x squared so x squared is 4y lah. And you don't have to square already. If you square, then salah already, right? Because it's already x squared. So yeah, this is what you do. So now the only thing left here to do here is just integrate this whole thing. Then you get the answer. Okay, I silap tulis, this is 16, right? Okay, now we integrate. So when we integrate, we will write big bracket. Integrate 4y is 4y squared over 2. And then close bracket 16 4. 4 and 2 can simplify. Let's simplify first. 4y squared divided 2 is 2y squared, and then 16 4. Now only I substitute the 16 inside. So when I substitute, I will get one bracket. And then when I substitute 4, I'll get another bracket. And then don't forget to minus, right? So one bracket is for the 16, one bracket is for the 4. Okay, what happens when I substitute 16? 16 squared times 2. Let's press 512. So just write 512. And then what is 4 substitute inside y? So it becomes 4 squared times 2, 16 times 2, 32. So this is 32. And the last step is to minus this to get the final answer. 512 minus 32, 480 pi. So the answer is 480 pi. cm cube or meter cube or what? Let's check. Everything is in cm, so yeah, cm cube. And I remember the answer also says right in terms of pi, right? So yeah, this is the answer in terms of pi already, right? So that's how we do it. Okay, let's continue with question number 9. Diagram 4, this is definitely a vector. So vector OQ, okay, and then vector OR and vector SO. On a square grid with sides of 1 unit. So all this one is square and it's 1 unit, 1 unit, 1 unit. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. So soalan A says what? Find the magnitude of negative OQ vector. Okay, I just want to mention the formula for magnitude is square root, bracket square plus bracket square. And what you have to write inside the bracket is you have to write down the number in front of ij. What is ij? Ij vector means coordinate vector. Coordinate vector. And coordinate vector we usually write like this. Something I plus something j like this. This is how we write coordinate vector. Another way to write it is in column vector. This one in bracket like this, PQ. Okay. And what do we call this type of vector? Coordinate vector. And you need to know I is for pergerakan yang kiri kanan. J is for pergerakan yang atas bawah. So I is for horizontal movement, J is for vertical movement. And that is why when we find magnitude, we have to masukkan the coefficient of ij inside here. It's like you are doing Pythagoras theorem, right? To get the magnitude, right? But if you look at OQ vector, it's not even in terms of ij. Everything is in terms of QR and so on, right? So let's convert everything to ij. Let's write down vector OQ, OR, and OS. Okay, let's follow the arrow lah. OQ, OR, this one is SO, right? So yeah, this SO, right? Oh, by the way, you don't have to worry about QO, because if you have OQ, then the QO is the same thing. Just flip the sign, right? Just tukar tanda. So yeah, okay, OQ will be what? I know it says here is a vector Q, but I don't want. I want in IJ. So it's -3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's -3i plus 4j. Or you can also write it in column vector form like this, right? They are the same meaning. This one is the same, right? And always count the horizontal one first. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And why is it negative? Because to the left. And then why the 4 positive? Because go up, right? Okay, what about OR? 2i plus 2j lah, this one, right? Positive, because ke kanan ke atas mah. And if you write in column vector form, it's 2, 2 like this, right? Okay, what about SO? SO will be -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it'll be -7i plus 0j, which means -7, 0. Why negative? Because move to the left. But then why 0? Because it never move up, down, right? It just move ke kiri saja. So hanya I saja yang ada nilai. J is for pergerakan atas bawah, but since dia tak ada gerak atas bawah, so 0 lah. Okay, after I get all this, now I can actually try to find the magnitude of negative OQ. Okay, I realized something. Negative OQ is actually what? Negative OQ is actually QO. Do you agree? Negative OQ is actually QO, right? You can actually tukar the sign here. You can tukar the sign, but when you tukar the sign, make sure you terbalikkan these two alphabet lah. So if I said vector OQ is Q, right? Then what is vector QO? It will be negative Q, right? So it means when you terbalikkan the QO, OQ, you just flip the sign. So if negative OQ, what it means? It means positive QO lah. And what is the magnitude of QO? I will buka square root, because this is the formula for magnitude. And then bracket square. And I will masukkan nombor depan IJ for vector QO. But what is vector QO? Okay, vector OQ is -3i plus 4j. Then what is vector QO? Okay, vector QO will be 3i minus 4j. Okay, 3i minus 4j. But I think I have to write down the working first lah. So I think I should erase this. So I think before I write the magnitude, I have to focus on the inside part first. So the inside part is negative OQ vector. And macam saya mention tadi, negative OQ is actually QO. Negative OQ is positive QO. And what is positive QO? 3i minus 4j. Let me explain one more time. OQ vector is -3i plus 4j. So what is QO? Terbalikkan this one, tukar tanda here. So -3 become +3, plus 4 you can -4. Now only you will write magnitude of negative OQ. Then your working looks better already. So now it'll be square root bracket square plus bracket square. And here you will always put in the number in front of ij. For this case, it's 3, -4, right? So you end up with square root 25, and you end up with 5. And this 5 is the magnitude. And let's just write units, right? Right? So 5 kotak, 5 units, right? Okay, now let's continue with B. Let's do it here. Given that vector OQ is Q, okay, I can see it. And then vector OR is R, they already label. Express RQ in terms of QR. So how to find RQ? Where's RQ? RQ is here, right? So how do we find this line, this vector? I can go RO, OQ, right? RO, OQ. But I don't think I can use this and this. I cannot get my RO and OQ from here, because they already say in terms of QR. If you take from here, you will get answer in terms of IJ, which is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5i plus 2j, which is correct, which is wrong, sorry, which is wrong, because the soalan one is in terms of QR. So let's just using the QR punya lah. So we just do what? Vector RO, which is negative R, because O to R is R. So if it's opposite direction, it's negative R, and then plus OQ is then plus Q. So the answer is Q minus R, right? That's all. So easy. So this is the final answer. Okay, let's continue with question number 10. Okay, I think number 10, I will do the working up here, right? Okay, let's go. Number 10A. Find the number of even numbers. Even numbers means nombor genap ataupun number yang numbers that can be divided by 2. So number of even numbers that can be formed from all the numbers 2, 5, 7, and 9 with all the number other than 2 appearing exactly twice. What does it mean by this? Cari bilangan nombor genap yang dapat dibentuk daripada semua angka ni dengan semua angka selain 2 muncul tepat 2 kali. Oh, I think I understand. It means all these numbers muncul 2 kali. It means your option is not 2, 5, 7, 9. Your option is actually more than this. It's actually 2, 5, 5, 7, 7, 9, 9. This is what it means, right? Because they say all the numbers other than 2 appear exactly twice. So what happens here is all the number appear exactly twice except the 2 lah. So actually how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you actually have 7 options, not 4 options, right? Because all the number appear exactly twice except 2, right? So if you have 7 options, what is the number of ways to arrange? It will be 7p7, right? But if you look at this, there are some repeating numbers. It means there's some identical object. And if there's identical object, we will use this formula. N factorial divide A factorial, B factorial, C factorial, where A, B, and C is the number of A, B, and C represents, okay, represents number of identical object. What is identical? Identical means same lah. The same, right? It means if there's identical object, the number of permutation ataupun the number of ways to arrange, you have to use this formula, right? But before that, they got mention even number lah, bro. Even number. Okay, did they mention how many they want to choose? They never mention, right? So they just say find number of even numbers that can be formed from all the numbers. So I assume it's like you arrange all, right? Not just 4. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if no condition means I will do 7 factorial divide by 2 factorial, 2 factorial, 2 factorial, because got identical object, right? If no condition, but they got say even number ma. So how to do? Even number means this last digit must be even number. If the last digit is not even number, then the whole thing is not even number already. So this digit is like a special. You can only put in even number inside here. And if you look at this, all these numbers, which one is even number? 2, right? It means that the 2 must go in here no matter what. So this is 1p1 lah, right? Because this box cannot be other numbers. All the other option is not even number. So this is the only thing, right? So 1p1. But I have to times with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is 6p6 lah. Ataupun 6 factorial. Do you agree? Let's scroll up a bit. So this is 6 factorial, right? Because when the 2 goes in already, it's 1p1, right? And then I have to, how to say, bawa tak nampak, and then left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 option left. Arrange inside 6 different slot is 6p6, 6 factorial, right? But don't forget to divide with what? A factorial, B factorial, C factorial, because there's identical object. Okay, the other digit yang repeat. So you can see 5 repeat 2 times, so you have to divide 2 factorial. Okay, because the number of identical object here is 2. And then what about 7? 7 also there is identical, 2 identical, so divide by 2 factorial. 9 also 2 identical, like this, right? And this would be your answer. Do you understand? So remember this formula. A, B, C represents number of identical objects. Okay, let's press 6 factorial. 6p6. And then times 1p1, which is 1. And then divide 2p2. And then divide 2p2 again. And then divide 2p2 again. Okay, my calculator gives me 90. So is it 90? Okay, did I press it correctly? Wait, let me check. So 6p6 divide 2 divide 2 divide. Yeah. So this is the answer. Okay. So oh, one more thing. When you press this, you have to press 6 factorial, divide 2 factorial, divide 2 factorial, divide 2 factorial, because all these 2 factorial duduk bawah, right? Even though it's a times here, because there's nothing here, right? But you have to tekan divide. Ataupun another way to press this is like you use bracket lah. 6 factorial divide, open bracket, and then 2 factorial times, and use bracket, right? If you have to tekan times, make sure you tekan bracket, right? Okay, let's continue with soalan B1. Okay, they say without using calculator, find the value of what? 5C3. And they already mentioned without using calculator, by the way. So how to use? Okay, if you use calculator, very easy, right? Just press only, right? But without using calculator, how to do it? Use the formula. Use the formula for NCR. Do you remember the formula for NCR? You sudah lupa? So the formula for NCR is n factorial divided by r factorial n minus r factorial. This is the formula, right? For NCR, right? But usually we don't use this formula because we just use calculator, right? But since this question, they already mentioned specifically no calculator, then we use this formula. So 5C3, it means your n is 5, your r is 3. So what you write? Atas, n, which is 5, so 5 factorial over r factorial, but I already mentioned r is 3 in this case, so 3 factorial, and then bracket n minus r, which is 5 minus 3 factorial, right? Okay, how to solve this without calculator? Okay, no calculator. Okay, what does factorial means? Factorial means you take the number, in this case is 5, and then you times 4, times 3, times 2, times 1. It means you times with the number before it until you get to 1, and you just keep on darab. So 5 factorial here is what? 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, right? But I will write it differently. I will write it like this. 5 times 4 times 3 factorial, right? And then what about bawah? It will be 3 factorial. 5 minus 3 is 2. So 2 factorial like this, right? Okay, maybe you will ask me why, why I take why I write 5 times 4 times 3 factorial, right? It's because I know I can cut here lah. It's because I know I can potong. And if you think about it, 3 factorial is what? 3 times 2 times 1, right? So it's correct. If you write like this, it's correct. And then 3 factorial, the reason why I do like this is because I want to cut, right? So you're left with 5 times 4 divide with 2 factorial, which is 2 times 1. Yeah, 2 factorial is 2 times 1, right? It means 5 times 4 divide 2. And what is 5 times 4? 20. And then what is 2 times 1? 2. And then you will end up with 10. And that's the answer. Okay? So this is how you do it. Okay, now we continue with question number 2. Okay, let's read the question. Diagram 5 shows two parallel lines with 4 and 6 points respectively. So the first line have 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the second line have 6 points, P, Q, R, S, T, U. And then it says, find number of different ways to form the triangles if these triangles are connected to the point number 3. Okay, so we want to calculate the number of triangles formed. Definitely, we will use C or P. We will use C. Let me tell you how to do. This is, they already said the triangle must connect number 3, right? So let's say this is 3, right? So dia boleh connect triangle macam mana? You can maybe connect like this. 3 to P and then 3 to Q, you form a triangle already. Or maybe 3 to S, 3 to U, right? This is also a triangle. Or maybe 3 to P and then 3 to T and then this is also a triangle. So ada banyak lah, right? Ada banyak. Tapi ada berapa sebenarnya? If you want to calculate number of ways like this, I will do 1C1 times 6C2 because I'm taking 3 because the condition here is the 3 must connect. So definitely this is 1C1. You cannot do 4C1 because you will end up choosing the other one. They already say must connect to 3, right? So the 3 must connect means one of the vertices must be 3. Do you understand? So that's why it's 1C1. And then the rest here, you just choose another 2, right? But you have to consider another possibility, right? Triangle have 3 vertices, right? So if I say that just now, this one, I'm assuming that one of the vertices is 3, right? But it can also be macam mana? It can also be where the triangle like this, P32, right? P32, okay? Betul tak? Because yeah, or maybe R32 or maybe S32. Okay, can you see the difference? It means that just now, I'm 1C1 times 662, this is the working for when I'm choosing one vertices on this line, right? Where the 3 is the only vertices on this line, and then I sambung 2 for the bawah line. That's why it's 1C1 times 662. But there's another one, which is where I choose 2 vertices for atas and 1 vertices bawah. But if I choose 2 vertices bawah, I have to make sure the 3 kena pilih. The 3 kena pilih. That's why it's 1C1 times 3C1. Because the 3 must kena pilih. I cannot choose 1 and 2 vertices, 1, 2 like that. Cannot. 3 must be kena pilih. That's why it's 1C1. And then left with the 1, 2, 4, I can just randomly choose 1. The 1, 2, 4, I don't care siapa kena pilih. Because yang penting is 3 kena pilih, right? And don't forget to times also with 6C1 this time, right? Because I already choose 1 vertices here, which is 3, and then another vertices up here. So I only need 1 more vertices down here. That's why it's like this. And then plus them together and then equal, you get the answer, right? Okay, I hope you understand my explanation. Now let's press calculator. 3 times 6. Okay, my calculator give me 33. So yeah, just write 33 and you get full mark. All right. Okay, hope you understand. Okay, let's continue with question number 11. So this question, what it says, given two functions y equals to fu and u equals gx, using the idea of limits, prove that dy dx equals to dy du times du dx. Okay, how do we prove? Okay, I will tell you this. This is what we call the chain rule. This is called the chain rule, right? So they want me to prove this formula using limits, right? Using limits. So how do we do this? Let's see. Okay, I know that dy dx, right? dy dx is equals to limit when delta x approaches 0 for delta y, delta x. Delta means the changes. So limit for changes in y bahagi changes in x, right? Because delta is the symbol for small change and changes in y. So you need to know that the dy dx is for limit when delta x approaches 0 for delta y or delta x, right? But how do we prove the chain rule from here? Okay, this thing, I will write it like this. Okay, delta x approaches 0. But for the delta y, delta x, I will write it like this. Delta y, and I will introduce the delta u here because I'm trying to prove this rule, right? So what I do is I will write delta u, ataupun you can say changes in u, and then here will be delta u over delta x, right? The reason why is because if you look at all these are all small change. So all of this, it will just be numbers, right? And if these numbers, these two can cut, right? And then I think you can see what happens here. You left with delta y, delta x, which is same as this. So that's why I can do it like this, right? And the other side is still dy dx, right? So now dy dx equals to what? You can pecahkan this one. It becomes limit delta x approaches 0. Okay. For delta y over delta u times with, this one is also will be limit delta x approaches 0 for delta u delta x. It's like you are expanding lah. It's like you are taking this, expand it, right? It's like you're expanding, right? Okay, after you reach here, you will realize that this whole thing is just dy dx. Du dx, right? This u, this whole thing you can cut and write du dx, but don't cut lah. So this whole thing is du dx. The reason why is because, remember I mentioned first, dy dx is actually limit delta x approaches 0 for delta y, delta x. So what is if this thing I change to delta u? Because if you look at this, it looks exactly the same as this. The only difference is the delta u become delta y. So that's why you can also change to dy dx lah, but for this case it's du dx, right? Understand? Then what about this? This also looks the same as this. Do you realize? It looks the same as this. It's just that the difference here is this one is delta u, this one is delta x. So if this whole thing can change to dy dx, it means this whole thing also can change to dy du, right? And if you look at this is the chain rule, right? So this is how I would do it lah, right? So using idea of limits, prove that. I think and it's worth 3 marks only, right? So I don't think you need to do more. So I think this is good enough, right? So we can just write the word proven here. Yeah, this is how I would do it lah. Okay, let's continue with question B. B says given y equals to this, x equals to this, find dy dx in terms of x. Okay, if you want to find dy dx in terms of x, you need to have the equation for y in terms of x first. But you don't have the equation y in terms of x. They only give you y in terms of t and x in terms of t. So if you differentiate this, you are not gonna get y dy dx. You will just get dy dt. Same for here. When you differentiate this, you're not gonna get dy dx. You will get dx dt. So what do? Is we will try to form an equation where it's y in terms of x first. So y equals to 5t squared plus 2t. So I think you know what is my plan already, right? You see the t, I open bracket. You know why? Because my plan is to find t from here first, so that I can get an equation y in terms of x. But how do I find this? Okay, x equals to 1 minus 2t. The negative 2 I can move there, become positive 2t, equals to 1. And then the plus x move here become minus x. So you know the t is 1 minus x over 2. And what we can do with the t, substitute inside here and here. And now when you simplify this, you will get equation y in terms of x. And then only you differentiate lah. So like that. Okay, how do we expand this? Okay, when you square, you atas pun kena square, bawah pun kena square. So 2 square is 4. And then what is 1 minus x square? 1 minus x square, you will get 1 minus 2x plus x square. Right? Because you will take depan square, so 1 square, and then depan darab belakang darab 2. So 1 times negative x is negative x times 2 negative x, and then negative x square is positive x square, like this. 2 and 2 can cut, left with 1 minus x, right? Okay, almost there. It will be 5. The square, this one is inside. Okay, the outside square, no need to write already because you already expand it, right? So now what you do, I think you have to expand the 5. I think you have to take the 5 times inside this fraction. But when you take a number times fraction, you will only times with the number on top. Yeah, you only times with the number on the top. So the 4, nothing will happen to the 4. And then here you times 5, become 5, times 5 become negative 10x, times 5 become plus 5x squared. And then here is plus bracket 1 minus x. Now it becomes y equals, this one you can separate into different terms, right? You become 5 over 4 minus 10x over 4, which is 5 over 2x, and then plus 5 over 4x squared, and then plus 1 minus x, right? And I'm sure now you can do differentiate already, right? You can do dy dx. Okay, I know some student will say, hey, sir, the 5 over 4 plus 1 can tekan calculator dapat 9 over 4. Why not do that? Can also. You want to, how to say, simplify further, baru you differentiate can also, right? But you can also terus differentiate because you already know differentiate number will be 0. So this whole thing will hilang. And what happens when you differentiate negative 5 over 2x? Negative 5 over 2. And then differentiate this, you will take the power times with number and then power minus 1. So 2 times 5 over 4 will be 10 over 4, which is 5 over 2. And don't forget the power minus 1 is x, right? Okay, what is differentiate 1? When you differentiate number is 0. So just leave it. And then differentiate negative x is just negative 1, right? Because you will take the power times number, right? So the power nothing means 1, the number nothing means 1. So 1 times 1 is negative 1. And then power minus 1, which is x power 0. X power 0 and x power 0 tak payah tulis. Okay, now only I take the negative 5 over 2 minus 1. So I will get 5 over 2x. Now let's press calculator. Negative 1 minus 5 over 2. Okay, my calculator give me negative 7 over 2. So this should be the answer, right? So sudah siap. Okay, let's continue. Okay, number 12. I think this is probability distribution, right? Okay, so let's read the question. Diagram 6 shows the graph of binomial distribution x and then b for p. Okay, in probability distribution, there is 2 types of question. One is the normal distribution, one is the binomial, and this is binomial, right? So remember, if they write something like this, xb, you need to know nombor depan will be the n, and then nombor belakang here will be the p. What is n? Total number of trials. What is p? Probability of success. Okay, so they already say n is 4. So we already know straight away my first information is n equals 4. Then what about the p? I don't know. They never give me. And then they give you this graph. This is what we call a graph. And let me tell you how to read this graph. This graph is like this. Px equals 0 equals to k. Like this. This is what it means. And then px equals 1 is 0.3025. right? It means the x-axis is the x value, the y-axis is the probability. All right, so px equals 1 is 0, and then what about px equals 2? Px equals 2 is let's see, so that when the x is 2, the probability is 0.2432. And then what about px equals 3? 0.1875, right? And then px equals 4, m, right? Okay, do you remember we already know the total number of trials is 4? It means my x will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Because if the total number of trials is 4, so all the possible values of x will be maybe 0 times their success, or maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4. And it makes sense because if you look at the graph, you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So can you tell me what is the total probability for everyone? What happens when you add all these numbers together? You should get 1, right? Because total probability must be 1, right? Okay, let's see what they want. Soalan number 1, they say P in terms of M. Let's see, P in terms of M, P in terms of M. Okay, I think I know how to do. Use this. Yeah, because P is the probability of success. P is the probability of success, right? And if you want to find the probability of success in terms of M, you will use this, because this is the whole question. This is the only equation with M. All these other equations don't have M. So let's use this. So I'll write Px equals 4M. And which formula I will use now? The binomial formula that you learned. Do you remember the formula for probability? NCX equals to P power X, Q power N minus X. This is the formula. Right? This one is times. Okay. Yeah, this is the formula. So if Px equals 4 means what? NCX. So 4C4 lah. And then bracket, 1 is for P, 1 is for Q. So the probability of success, I don't know. So just write P. The probability of failure also, I don't know. Just write Q. And then this power will be the same with the number down here, which is 4. And then this power will be atas tolak atas. So 4 minus 4, 0 equals to M. Q power 0 can cancel because anything power 0 is 1. 4C4 also can cancel, become 1. So you just left with P power 4 equals M. So how to find P? Power 4, when you move there, become 4 root of M. Right? So this is the answer. Okay, let's go B. Question number 2. Question number 2 says express Px bigger sama dengan 1 in terms of K. If they want bigger sama dengan 1 means I'm taking this one, add together. But if you do like that, you will get what? 0.3025 plus 0.2432 plus 0.187 plus M. But they say in terms of K. So I don't think you can do like that, because if you do like that, the answer is tada K pun. It's just in terms of M. So what we do is we use another method, 1 minus. Because I already mentioned in the beginning, just now I already explained to you, the total probability, everything add together must be 1. So if I want to find Px equals 1, Px equals 2, 3, 4 add together, I can also do 1, which is the total probability, minus Px equals 0. And what is Px equals 0? K. Sudah siap. So this is the answer. Okay, let's continue. So this is binomial distribution. Okay, let's go B. Oh, this one is also probability distribution, but I think this is normal distribution because you see the word already, right? Diagram 7 shows the normal distribution graph of random variable. Okay, they bagi macam ni, xn. Okay, you need to know nombor depan is the mean, nombor belakang is the variance, right? Okay, yang tadi tak sama. The last question is binomial. If they write B here, then this will be the N, this will be the P. But if they write, because B stands for binomial, if B stands for binomial, so nombor depan will be N, nombor belakang will be the P, which is the probability of success. But if it's N, if they write N here, nombor depan will be the mean, nombor belakang will be the variance. Yang tu kena hafal, yang tu kena tahu. And let me tell you, variance in normal distribution is very useless. All right, we only because we in normal distribution, we use standard deviation more. Right? We don't use variance in normal distribution usually lah. Okay, so let's see. The mean they never give you, but the variance is 9. So if the variance is 9, what would be the standard deviation? Square root 9, which is 3, right? Tak ada negative punya standard deviation. So this is the standard deviation. Even though the question never asked me to find the standard deviation, but I just find it lah, in case I need to use it. Because in normal distribution, we have to convert to Z value usually. And the formula to convert is to take the X minus mean bahagi standard deviation, right? And we don't use the variance, right? That's why whenever they give you variance in normal distribution, punya soalan, I always convert to standard deviation straight away. Okay, soalan number 1, state the value of mean, 15. Siap. Mean will be the axis of symmetry of the bell shape, right? So 15. Okay, this one nothing much to explain. You just remember when they give you a bell shape, the axis of symmetry, that will be the mean, right? Okay, standard deviation. Okay, the answer is here, right? Okay, very easy, right? I already do it just now. Okay, so itu cara dia. Okay, sudah siap. I think now is bahagian B already, yeah. So bahagian ini mengandungi 3 soalan, jawab 2 soalan. So it will be 13, 14, 15, right? But I will jawab all of it. I will jawab all of it. I will not choose 2 question, okay? But in exam, you only choose 2 question lah. Don't waste your time, right? Unless you memang sudah confident lah, then baru you buat 3 soalan. But since I'm doing this video for a revision purpose, I will do all 3 questions. So where I need some space, I think I can do it up here, yeah. So let's read the question. Number 13. A, what they want. Find the range of values of x if y is smaller than 10 and 2x squared minus 3y plus 5 equals 0. Okay, let's write down the question. Y is smaller. Y is smaller than 10. And then this one is 2x squared minus 3y plus 4x equals 0. So how to do this? Okay, very easy. We have to somehow combine these two into one. So how can we combine these two? First, we find y first. Find y first. So how to find y? Make the y single and also try to make it positive. So negative 3y, make it here. Pindah here, become positive 3y. This will be 2x squared plus 4x. So now I make the y single. Everything divided by 3. So it will be like this, right? But you can also write differently. You can also write like this. 2 over 3x squared plus 4 over 3x. Yeah, can also is the same thing, right? And after I make the y single, I can use this. Y is smaller than 10. So since y is smaller than 10, it means y is this, right? So it means 2 over 3x squared plus 4 over 3x smaller than 10, right? And then now I can solve this quadratic inequality because it becomes a quadratic inequality already. But when it's a quadratic, means other square, you have to move everything to one side equals 0, right? But there is fraction also. So what I will do is I will take everything times 3. Hilangkan the fraction and also bring the 10 over. So let's take everything times 3. So times 3, 2x squared, times 3, 4x, times 3 becomes 30, right? So everything times 3. The reason why I times 3 is because I want to get rid of the fraction. And the 30 can move here, become minus 30, and then left with 0 here, right? And now we can solve this equation. But I can see this one can simplify. This one all can divide 2, all these number. So divide 2, x squared, divide 2, 2x, divide 2, 15, small 0. Okay, this is what we call a quadratic inequality. And do you remember how to solve quadratic inequality? You must sketch, right? Do you remember this? I hope you know this one have to sketch later. Okay, but before we sketch, we have to tekan calculator, get our 2 answer first, right? So remember, this is inequality because it's smaller here. So let's tekan first and see what I get. So what is the A? 1, what's the 2? B, 2, and then the C is negative 15. So use your calculator. Okay, my calculator give me 3 and negative 5. So just write 3 and negative 5. Okay, this one I silap tulis. This one is 5. So what I have to write up here? Bracket x minus 3, bracket x plus 5. And of course, you have to follow smaller 0. This one also smaller 0. But the equal here, you have to write equal. This equal you cannot change to smaller. You have to draw. After you sketch, then only you put in the negative 5 and 3. Okay, the small number have to put in front, obviously. And then now only you look at the bracket smaller. If it's smaller, you will lower it down here. Means this is the shaded region. If it's bigger, you will shade 2 parts. One here, one on the left, one on the right. Right? So the answer here will be x in between. The range will be in between negative 5 and 3. Right? So this is the answer. This is the correct way to do it. Okay, and remember, during exam, you memang kena sketch dekat in the answer space, you must sketch this, right? So this one memang part of the working. So this is how you get the 4 marks. Okay. All right. Hope you understand. Okay. Let's go for the soalan B. Soalan B, I'll do it here. Given that 2x squared, let's write it down, minus 8x minus 10 equals to this. Okay. This is vertex form. But this in front one is the general form. So can we change to vertex form? Yes, we just do completing the square. And then they say find values of A, B, C, hence find the minimum value for this expression. Okay, this is quite easy. Yeah, just do completing the square, right? Student always cannot do completing the square, right? Because not enough exercise. Yeah, that's why they cannot do. But this one, if you know how to do completing the square, it should be very straightforward. So what we do now is I will take my general form equation change to vertex form by doing completing the square and then compare my answer with this, right? And then I will get my ABC value. Okay, let's go. How to do completing the square? Do you remember the important step to do completing the square? The A must be what? Positive 1. If the A is not positive 1, you can't do completing the square. So what you do is the 2 have to take it out ataupun you factorize lah, factorize out the 2 means you divide 2 x squared, divide 2 4x, divide 2 5, -5, right? And now only you can do completing the square. So you do big bracket x squared minus 4x, leave an empty space here, -5, leave an empty space here, and then close bracket. Okay, what you write in the empty space, you will write plus bracket square minus bracket square, and inside the bracket will be b over 2. And what is the b? Refer beside here, -4 over 2, -4 over 2. Jangan ada yang tengok atas. If you tengok atas, salah. If you go and write b -8, wrong. I already teach many times in class. You always have to tengok beside here. Okay, now it becomes 2 big bracket. The middle one you will ignore. This one jangan tengok. Jangan tengok. But you don't cross it out in the exam lah. You just don't ignore this, and then you look at the x square and you look at the -4 over 2 square. So what we will do now is x tulis dalam, square tulis luar. -4 over 2, which is -2, tulis dalam, square tulis luar. And then -5, this one minus, saya pun minus. -4 divided 2 is -2, square is +4. But you have to write minus because ada lagi satu minus outside the bracket. So now it becomes 2 big bracket. Belakang boleh buat. So x minus 2 square, -5 minus 4 is -9, close bracket. Okay, this is not vertex form yet. Vertex form cannot have big bracket. You still have to take the 2, expand inside. So when you take the 2, expand, it become like this, right? Because the 2 cannot go inside the bracket. Why the 2 cannot go inside the bracket become 2x is because this bracket got square. So the only way is to put the 2 in front, right? But the -9 can times with the 2. It will become -18. Right? So this is the vertex form. Now I can compare this with this, and then I can know my ABC value. So what is my dot A value? So A is the number in front, which is 2 lah. Yep. And then what is the B? B is the number inside here, which is positive B. So B is equals to what? Okay, some of you might tell me 2. Wrong. The B is -2. Hey, look carefully. When you take the whole thing. X plus B. This one is x minus 2. Means when you compare, it's like positive B equals to -2. That's why it's negative. So be careful. And then what about C? Is it 18 or -18? So the positive C here is whatever at the back here. So -18. And don't forget, they also ask for what? They ask you to find ABC. Okay, sudah buat. Hence find the minimum value. So let's put a comma here. Or let's use this symbol dot and then comma. The minimum value. Okay, who knows what's the minimum value? -18. -18 is the minimum value, right? Hey, by the way, what's minimum value? Okay, let's talk about what's minimum point. What's minimum point? Minimum point means you take the turning point. So what is the turning point? How to butcher turning point from vertex form? The x coordinate you will butcher from here, but you have to tukar tanda. -2 when you take out it becomes 2, and then the y coordinate is -18. This is what we call a minimum point, right? But if you want minimum value, we're only talking about the y coordinate. That is why the minimum value is -18. What about the x coordinate? The x coordinate will tell you the axis of symmetry. Okay, the nama lain for x coordinate is axis of symmetry, and the nama lain for y coordinate is the minimum value ataupun maximum value, depending on because some question is maximum, right? This one is minimum lah. So I hope you understand. Remember, minimum point means the whole thing, the x coordinate and the y coordinate. But if they mention minimum value, it's only talking about the y coordinate, right? So this is very important. So I think finish already, right? Very easy. Okay, number 14. I think this is coordinate geometry, right? So let's read the question. Diagram 8 shows the 4 sides, A, B, C, D. Okay, there's 4 sides. Point A lies on the y-axis. Straight away go to A and put x coordinate 0. Because if it's y-axis means this is the y-intercept. And if it's y-intercept means the x coordinate 0. And what would be the y coordinate? We don't know. But actually we know because this is 5. Okay, let me tell you how I know. Because the AB equation already given here, y equals 5. And if the equation look like this, y equals number, it means this is a non-gradient line. Non-gradient line means this line is completely parallel with the x-axis. The reason why I know is because how the equation looks like. Because line ada dua jenis. It's either a non-gradient punya line or gradient punya line. If gradient punya line, the equation will look like this, y equals mx plus c. But non-gradient, the equation will look like this, x equals number ataupun y equals number. If x equals number, the line is vertical. If y equals number, the line is horizontal. So when I saw this line y equals 5, I know this line is completely horizontal. It means it's parallel with x-axis. That's why I know this is 5, right? But anyways, I'll just erase all this lah. All right. So remember, gradient line dia punya equation akan jadi y equals mx plus c. But if the equation is x equals number, y equals number, then it's definitely not a gradient line. It means this line tak ada sengit one. It's like completely horizontal ataupun completely vertical. And there is no gradient. You can't find the gradient of line yang macam ni. Alright, soalan A1. Oh, there's still another information. Nasib baik saya ada baca ni. Equation of BC, where is it? BC, I think he's talking about this one. Is y is this, right? If I am you, I will straight away change to linear form. Y equals to 2x minus 9. The reason why I change to linear form is because I can take out the gradient and y-intercept when the equation is in linear form. Linear form means like this lah, y equals mx plus c. So what is the gradient? The gradient is 2. And what is the y-intercept? 9. Negative 9. And the y-intercept of this line, you have to extend, then only you nampak here, right? But if you look carefully, there's actually a box here, right? So what is this box means? This box means what? 90 degree ataupun perpendicular. So the moment when you see perpendicular, when two lines are perpendicular, which formula you will use? Perpendicular, which formula you use? M1 times M2 equals -1, right? When two lines are perpendicular, their gradient punya hasil darab is -1, right? And for this case, it will be the gradient of BC and gradient of CD. And soalan A1, dia suruh cari gradient of CD. Yeah, very easy. You have the gradient BC already. So since BC and CD are perpendicular, when you times the gradient together, you will get -1. And you have the BC gradient, which is 2, times with gradient of CD equals -1. So the gradient of CD, MCD, McDonald, okay, -1/2, right? This is the answer. Did you realize I have a habit, right? I have a habit. My habit is I will try to find, like when they give me equation, I try to change to linear form and write down the information straight away, even though the question never asked me. So I hope students have this kind of habit. Can you see it ends up helping me, right? Because if you remember, imagine if you didn't label like this and you didn't, how to say, you didn't change to linear form, you know, it might be a little bit harder for you to see how to do the question. But if your labeling is perfect, you can do it very fast, right? Because you straight away you can take out a lot of information, right? But if your labeling is not good, then it feels like you don't have enough information. So it's important to label nicely, right? Sometimes the question never asks us to find. If we can find it, we should always find it. Like for example, the 0,5. Like the question never asked me to find, but I find it also, right? But it might end up useless. Maybe I won't even use this point, but it's okay lah. Just find it, right? Because it's very helpful, right, to have this habit. Okay, number 2, find the coordinates of C. I think it's talking about this. So what is the x coordinate? Don't know. What is the y coordinate? Don't know also. But I already know the gradient of this is -1/2 from my last question. So let's think about this. How can we find the gradient? How do we find the coordinate of C? Let's think. Okay, I know already. Just take the BC and the CD, do simultaneous, right? Why? Because if you look at point C, C is the point of intersection. Is the intersection point of the BC line and the CD line, right? Intersection point means titik persilangan. So how do we find titik persilangan? If we have these two equation, we do simultaneous. Then we can find the intersection point. But do we have the BC equation and the DC equation? Don't have. BC equation have, but DC equation don't have. So let's find the DC equation. And how to find equation? Y equals mx plus c. Ataupun you can use the Addmaths punya version, which is y minus y1 equals to gradient x minus x1, right? But in this case, my gradient I have already -1/2, and then the x1, y1, you have to masuk satu point yang ada passes through. So DC, can you see which point is on this line? Is got passes through this line, the D point, right? So -6 is the x, -1 is the y. So y have to minus y. So y minus y, y minus -1. So y plus 1. X have to minus x, so x minus -6, x plus 6. Okay. Oh, by the way, if for those students yang they want to do y equals mx plus c, can also. You will get the same answer as me. All right. Don't worry about that. Okay. So now it becomes, expand this, it becomes -1/2x, and then 6 divide -2, which is -3, and then this side is y plus 1. So now your equation comes out already, -1/2x, -3 plus 1 become -1, become -4. So this is the equation of DC. And now I will take this equation, call this equation 1, and another equation, y equals 2x minus 9, call this equation 2, and do simultaneous. Why I do simultaneous? because I'm trying to find point C, which is the intersection point of these two lines, right? And whenever you find intersection point, you will do simultaneous, right? Okay, I think I'm going to do it here, right? So let's just continue. Put the arrow here. I'll just continue here. So what I'll do here, I'll do substitution method. I'll just write y equals y, because they both already y equals, the y already single already. So now I'll just put the first y, I will write 2x minus 9. And then the other one is negative 1 over 2x minus 4. So now I can solve for x. So x dengan x boleh buat, tapi pindah sekali dulu. 2 plus 1 over 2. 5 over 2x, right? And then negative 9 move there, become plus 9, and then which is 5 lah. So x equals to 2. Okay. Okay, so this is not the answer yet. This is only the x coordinate of the point C. When we find point, dia kena ada x, dia kena ada y. So I still have to substitute the x2 inside here, find y. You can substitute into any of these equation. Let's substitute into the 2x minus 9. So it become what? When x equals 2, comma, y equals to 2x minus 9, and the x is 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 minus 9 is negative 5. So the point C comes out already. It's 2, negative 5. So this is 2, negative 5. So this is the answer for A2, right? Okay, so this arrow is continue from here. Okay, last question. Question B, find the area of quadrilateral ABCD. Okay, to find area of quadrilateral in a Cartesian plane, you will use the formula 1 over 2 modulus, and then you will put in all the coordinate for the vertices of the quadrilateral, but you need to make sure you need to have all the coordinate first, A, B, C, D. So do you have point A? Yes. Point B? No. Point C? Yes. Point D? Yes. So the only point tak ada is point B, but you can find this very easily. The X coordinate you don't know, but the Y coordinate is 5, right? And then just ganti the Y 5 inside this equation, because this B is a point on this line. That is why you can substitute the 5 inside here. So when you substitute, it becomes 5 equals 2x minus 9. And you can calculate your x, which is 7. Okay, because 5 plus 9 is 14. 14 divided 2 is 7. Okay. And one more thing, did you realize the point A just now I find it, right? And I mentioned what? Even though the soalan might not use it, I still recommend you to find. So can you see now it ends up helping? It ends up being useful already, right? So remember this, when we do question, we just label everything, right? We don't care what, don't just, how to say, don't just focus on what the question wants. Just find whatever you can find and label anything that you can label. Then only you do the question. Then only you will have enough information, right? So yeah, okay. I think now it's time to put in all, how to say, put in all the points inside the formula. So formula for area is like this, 1 over 2 modulus. Okay, which point you want to start? You can start from any point you want. Let's start from point A, 0, 5. So you write 0 atas, 5 bawah like this. And then the next one, you can go 7, 5 like this. And then 2, negative 5, right? And then the next one is negative 6, negative 1. And then the next one, the last one, you have to repeat the first one, which is 0, 5. And then you close the modulus. Actually, you can start from any point you want. Just remember one thing. Make sure the next point you write, dia ada sambung line dekat situ. For example, if you start from 0, 5, the next one you cannot write 2, negative 5 because there's no lines here. Dia tak, A tak ada sambung C pun. So you can write A, B, C, D in this order, or maybe A, D, C, B, or maybe D, C, B, A, D, A, B, C can also. Just make sure dia ada sambung. You don't go and write D, A, C, B. Itu memang salah lah because A tak ada line sambung C also, right? It means you can write in any order you want. It's up to you, but make sure the order you write is like the other sambung dekat situ, the other line sambung dekat situ. Okay, I hope you understand what I meant by that. Now I can calculate this. So how to darab? We have to start from atas and then darab silang. So 0 times 5, 0, plus 7 times negative 5, negative 35. So I'll write bracket, and then plus 2 times negative 1, negative 2. So open bracket, negative 2, and then plus negative 6 times 5, and then open bracket lah, negative 30. And then minus. Why suddenly minus? Because I changed direction. Now it becomes like this already. So 5 times 7, 35. And then minus 5 times 2, 10. And then minus negative 5 times negative 6, positive 30. And then minus negative 1 times 0, 0. Sebenarnya 0 tak tulis pun tak apa. Okay. Tapi saya tulis lah. Okay. And then 1 over 2. Okay. Time to press calculator. Negative 35. Minus 2, minus 30, minus 35, minus 10, minus 30. Okay, my calculator gives me negative 142. But this is not the answer yet. You still have to modulus and divide 2. So what is modulus negative 142? It becomes positive 142. Okay, then it means you don't have to write modulus already lah. Just times 1/2 like that. And then divide by 2 is 71. And don't forget to write unit square since this is area. This is area, so I have to write unit square. I don't think you have to write cm or anything, yeah, because everything is just in unit, so you just write unit square. Okay, sudah siap. Okay, I think this is the last question. Okay, let's go. What is this? I think this is how to say? What is it? The circular measure. Yeah, circular measure, right? Because look at the diagram also, you can tell already. Okay, let's do it. Diagram 9 shows a sector MJKL, center at M. Let's check. MJKL. This is a sector. So definitely this MJ and this ML is the radius and they have the same length, right? And then what else? Center at M. Okay, M is the center. And two sectors, PJM, QLM, center at PQ. PJM also a sector. So the radius is this one, PMJP. And then another one is QLM, center at Q. QLM also a sector, center at Q. Okay. It means this is 5 lah. Because this is radius 5, right? Yeah. And then they say given the major angle JML is 3.6. Oh, don't forget these two sama panjang. I already explained just now because they say MJKL is a sector center at M. So if the MJKL is a sector center at M, definitely this is the radius, they have the same length, right? Okay, what is the next one just now? Major angle JML is 3.6. What is major angle? Okay, let's say this is a circle and I cut this angle into like this, right? So there is one angle here, there is another angle here, right? So let's call this X, let's call this Y. Which one is the minor angle? Which one is the major angle? The minor angle is the one that is less than half. The major angle is the one that is more than half. So which one is more than half? Y lah. So it means the big one lah. The big one is major, the small one is minor. So now they say major angle JML is 3.6. Where is JML? JML is here. But the JML angle can be here. It can be here also. Right? So which one do you think that they're talking about? Which angle? What do you think? Is it the atas punya or bawah punya? Major. So more than half. So which one is more than half? The atas punya lah. It means not the bawah punya, because this one is the minor angle, right? So yang atas punya, because this one is more than half. The bawah punya is less than half. So this angle, they are talking about this angle. So the angle here is 3.6 radian. Okay. Okay, after I label all the information, now I can focus on what they want. So soalan A, find the radius of MJKL circle sector. Which one is MJKL? This one, the big one. So how do we find the radius? It means I have to find the panjang from M to J or M to L or M to K, because these are all radius for this sector. So how do we find it? Let's think about this. What formula I should use? Okay, if you look carefully at the radius of this sector, did you realize the radius is actually M to J, and M to J is a chord? Do you agree? M to J is a chord of another sector down here, the MPJ sector, right? So we can use the chord formula, right? Oh, by the way, this chapter, other formula yang you kena tahu, do you remember the formula? First formula is arc, S equals R theta. Next formula is chord, which is 2R sine theta over 2. But this theta had to be in degree because depan ada trigo. And then what is it? Segment. Sector first. But this one is area. Area sector is 1 over 2 R squared theta. And this theta in radian. And then the last one is area for segment. Segment in Bahasa Melayu is tembereng. Tembereng, the formula is 1 over 2 R squared bracket theta minus sine theta. Okay, so these are the formulas that you need to know. So later I'll be using the chord formula 2R sine theta over 2 to find the radius. Okay, but before I use this, before I use the chord formula to find this line, which is the answer, but I have to make sure my angle is in degree, right? So what I'll write here is I'll write chord JM is equals to what? 2R, 2 radius, 2 times radius, and the radius is 5, because I'm using another sector punya chord to find the radius of this, right? So the radius is 5, and then sine half angle, half theta over 2 lah. But the theta you cannot put 1 because the 1 is in radian. So I have to convert to degree. So let's write up here 1 radian times, okay, how to convert radian to degree? You have to times with 180 over pi. So when you press this, you will get in degree lah. So let's press. Okay, pi, I will just use 3.142. Okay, because this question they never mention use what, and usually circular measure, if they never mention, you use 3.142. So it's 57 degrees 17 minutes. Okay, 57 degree 17 minutes. You can use in decimal also, it's up to you. So this one is 57 degrees 17 minutes. So after I calculate this, I will get my answer. All right, 2 times 5 is 10. So it will be 57 degrees 17 minutes, divide 2, and then sign answer, and then times 10. Okay, my calculator gives me 4.793, right? I will always write 4 significant figure. Okay, so this is how I write. You can write more if you want. It's up to you. Okay, okay, let's go for B. Find the perimeter of shaded region. Shaded region means you have to tambah all the lines outside, right? All the outside lines. And how many lines you have to tambah? 3 lines. 1, 2, 3. So how to find perimeter? I first need to find the arc JM and the arc ML and the arc LKJ, right? Okay, can I find the arc JKL? The answer is yes, because when you have the radius of for soalan A, actually I should write like this, radius. I know it's the chord, but at the same time it's also the radius of the big sector, right? Of the MJKL sector. So I think I should write like this, right? The radius. Okay, after I already have the chord, but at the same time the chord is also the radius. So when we take the r theta, we can use the r theta formula to find the chord of JL, right? Because you have the theta already in radian. Just times them together, so very easy. Then what about the other two arc? Can I find the other two arc? Yes, because we have radius 5 and the angle 1, the angle in radian 1, right? So can straight away find already. So perimeter of shaded region. So how many lines you have to plus? 3 lines. The first line is the arc JKL, okay, plus with the next one is arc LM. Please don't write please don't just write LM. Make sure you write the word arc, because if you write LM, LM can be here, right? This is also LM. So we have to put the word arc so that it's more specific, so that it means that you want the arc, not the LM. Because the shaded region, it's not, this part is not shaded, right? So we want the arc LM. And the last line is the MJ line, but don't just write MJ, write arc MJ. Because if you write MJ, it can be this line, it can be the arc, right? That's why it's important to write the word arc, so you know you are finding this line. Okay, now let's use the formula for arc, which is r theta. The arc JKL punya radius will be 4.793. So the r radius is 4.793, multiply times with the angle in radian is 3.6, and then plus with arc LM. Arc LM, which is, what is the radius? LM, arc LM, the radius is 5, right? And then what is the angle in radian? 1, right? And then what about MJ? Is also 5 times 1. So why not you just times 2 straight away like this, right? Can also, right? Okay, let's press calculator. 4.793 times 3.6 equals, and then plus 10. Okay, 27.2548, right? So let's just write the whole thing, 27.2548. And the unit is cm. Okay. Okay, so this is the answer. Okay, wait. Did I do it correctly? 3.6 times 4.793. Yeah, I do it correctly, right? Yeah, correct. Okay, so this is the answer. Okay. Okay. Usually I'll write 4 cm figure, so you can write 27.25. Okay, but since the answer is like not too many decimal place, so I just because the answer stopped at the 2548, so I just write it like just to be safe. The more you write, the safer. So yeah, so that's why I choose to write banyak sikit. Okay, soalan C, that says find the area of shaded region. Shaded region is talking about this area, so how do we find it? I think first I can find the area of sector, but I have to minus with this one and this one, right? And what do we call this? Can you see this region is surrounded by 2 lines, right? It's surrounded by the arc and the chord. So the region in between the arc and the chord, what do we call this? Segment. Yeah, segment. And let me tell you, this segment and this segment, they are the same size, right? Because from just now, we can already see they have the same radius, they have the same angle, they have the same chord. So definitely the segment here is same size also. So my plan now is to take the area of big sector minus the area of segment times 2. You understand? So now let's find out the area of sector. So where should I do it? I think I'll do it here. So area of shaded region. So the first thing is to find area of sector, and which formula I will use. So I already write down all the formula. The sector formula is 1/2 r squared theta. So 1/2 r squared, the r has to be 4.793, and don't forget to square. And then times with theta in radian is 3.6. So when you do like this, you are finding the area for here, here, here. Means like this, the whole thing like this. So you have to minus with what? You have to minus with 2 times. Why 2 times? Because I already mentioned these two segments have the same size. So I just have to find one area of segment and then times 2. And what is the area of segment formula? 1/2 r squared theta minus sine theta. Okay, I write down here already. 1/2 r squared theta minus sine theta. So 1/2 r squared. What is the r squared? The r for this segment will be 5 only, right? And then the theta minus sine theta, theta will be 1 radian, right? So 1, but you have to minus sine theta. It means that you have to convert the 1 to degree here. And I already do it just now. It's 57 degree, 17 minute, right? So, oops, I still have to cut. Wait. Okay, let me write nicely. So this one is 57 degree, 17 minute. Okay, so this is how you write it. It means when you use the area of segment formula, yang depan punya theta is in radian, yang belakang punya is in radian. They are actually the same angle. It's just that in different unit. Okay, so like that. Okay, let's press yang depan dulu. 4.793 square times 3.6 divide 2. Okay, my calculator give me 41.35. Okay, 41.35. So let's write this down first. And minus, okay, this one you can press the whole thing. Okay, let's press yang belakang dulu. So sine 57 degrees 17 minute equal first, and then 1 minus answer, and then answer times 25 divide 2 times 2. Okay, my calculator give me 3.9661 blah blah blah. So don't have to write so many, just write 3.966 is enough. Okay, now I will use the answer button. I will press 41.35 minus answer. Okay, my calculator give me 37.38. Okay, a lot of numbers lah, but you just write 37.38 is enough. Yeah. If it's a lot of decimal place, I will usually just write 4 significant figures. But if it's like this case where the answer stop here, then I will just finish writing it. You understand? Like that, right? So yep, this is how I will do this question, and I think that's all. So kertas pemeriksaan tamat. Okay, bye bye. See you next video.